And we're live. Okay, welcome everyone to another session of DC Adventures Midnight City. I'm just going to say right off the bat to check out the description box where there's a link to our open Facebook group where you're free to check in on all the updates and all sorts of character pictures and whatnot, and of course post there freely as well. Let's get started with tonight's session. Last time, the session ended with everyone basically finishing their little intro missions there that they were doing as solo missions there, and every one of them getting picked up one by the Longsword's very own flying machine with its mysterious, still nameless pilot. So I'm going to start this session as you guys were picked up and you were heading east. I'm going to start this session with a little intro scene for you all, with just getting kind of in the mood. Okay, imagine this. We're still, of course, in our little gray, colorless world full of bleak and miserable experiences and people everywhere behind every corner, and suffering and melancholia taking hold of every street corner. And in one street corner, there is a familiar mother and a child, this little boy, clutching a Captain Phantom comic book that he's received from a superhero only a short while ago. They are standing at the front door of an apartment in a duplex. Gray apartment building, gray front door, gray mother and gray child, as the mother is about to leave the apartment looking concerned, and the child is holding back tears looking at his mother and saying that what if you don't come back like daddy, what if you, and the mother turning back to the child, kissing him on his gray forehead, saying that you need to be strong for mommy. Mommy's gonna come back with food, and you need to keep the lights down and don't make any noise and don't open the door for anybody. Got that? Okay, mommy. And the mother closing the door shut with the lock snapping, with the child with the comic book still inside. As the mother goes outside the duplex building there, checking every corner before entering an alleyway, and seeing cats and all sorts of stray animals just kind of scurrying away when they notice human movement there, stepping over all sorts of bums and possibly even cadavers laying on the streets next to, overflowing garbage bins and such. And, as she makes her way through the alleyways and all the yards and such into the actual main road there, she looks up across the road and sees an old abandoned supermarket there that most likely might hold some sort of remnants of some sort of food that might survive, tens of years or something like that when the package is not yet opened. So with kind of an optimistic glare in her eye, she looks around if the coast seems clear, and she goes to cross the road. And as soon as she crosses the gray road, from the darkness behind her, she hears something that freezes her stiff as a board out of fear. She hears drumming. She hears this taiko drum from behind her going and she's just frozen out of fear, and she keeps hearing this taiko drumming as the supermarket is just in front of her, but the alleyway she came from is also the same distance behind her. As she turns around and looks into the darkness that's ahead of the road, and she sees, as the taiko drumming is blaring off from that direction, two big searchlights, these kind of just big, headlights of a car, just just lighting up, engulfing her body and making everything around her seem darker than before. And the taiko drumming gets more and more intense, just from the top of it, and you hear this roar of a V8 engine just as tires screech, and you can see, like, from the road, this converted pickup truck, one of these large, really big Chevy pickup trucks that's been turned into a convertible with the roof completely just removed and the back tires being larger than the front tires, making it tilt forward a little bit with 3 people on board of it. There's a driver with like these giant goggles and these leather straps just kind of strapped to the steering wheel. There's the taiko drummer on the flatbed, just pretty much naked except for all sorts of body paint and just slamming on the drum. And then there's a third guy standing at the edge of the vehicle there with a long big chain on one hand, and as the tires screech and the engine making its roaring noises, it just glides through the main road, and the woman panics and runs in a straight line away from the vehicle as the taiko drumming is getting more and more intense, and this kind of bulky, shirtless character with the chain is kind of like just staying through his teeth, just run rabbit, run little rabbit, run rabbit, and the chain gets loose from his hand, and at the end of the chain there's 2 fireman axes that have been attached to the chain, and he starts to swing the chain as the pickup truck is gaining speed, and as they start to get to the woman's basically where she's running, he lets go of the chain, and the chain just glides through the air, and in this still moment, the spike end of one of those fireman axes kind of sinks behind the woman's collarbone, protrudes out from under it, and yanks onto it, and violently, as the car drives past her, yanks her from off her feet, and she is getting dragged through the concrete by these extremely powerful car there, and the guy who threw the chain is just going like this in this maniacal laugh as the taiko drumming is getting intense, just and they're just driving with the body soon getting scraped into just mush, and they drive past a chain link fence, just and the chain link fence kind of goes there, and you can hear like bird noises, just and you kind of like the view goes higher, and you can see that the chain link fence, the top bar of that chain link fence is covered with crucified dead bodies there. They're like each of them holding their arms like behind each other's shoulders, almost like in this kind of cabaret friendship kind of position, but they're in different states of decomposition, and they have all sorts of crows pecking at the bodies there, and as they're being pecked, all of a sudden the birds kind of lift their heads and flutter off like as the flying machine, the Black Cat, the flying machine of the long swords, this flying machine that's kind of a mixture between the Huey attack helicopter, the Orca from Command and Conquer, the Kodiak from Mass Effect, and the Bat from Dark Knight Rises. Just this kind of hovercraft of a black flying machine just kind of flies over that fence, scaring the birds away, just, and you see that on the fence there's the symbol of a bee that's made out of 2 axes, one regular axe as the top circle of the bee with the handle coming down, and the the lower part of the bee is like a Viking long axe with it protruding under the regular axe, with both handles like being side by side on it, because this is the territory of the barbarians, the largest and the most vicious and the most powerful gang in the region, to whom the Necropolis, the Thorhammers, and the Leathermasters, all 3 gangs you encountered the last session, are vassals to this one gang that's the largest and the most vicious, and with the most powerful leader, Ironside, at the head. And as the flying machine just flies over the fence, we see inside, and as the taiko drumming kind of dissipates in the distance, it morphs into "The Day Is My Enemy" by Poradici on the radio from the flying machine, as you're kind of flying there, and inside we see our heroes. We see Geist, we see Mr. Brick and we see Liam all in their attire inside the vehicle, having just finished their last mission from last session. And there you are in the flying machine, kind of. Most people have to hold on to a strap standing there, but Liam can construct himself a chair like he did last time, or if I understood correctly. And yeah, there you are, flying deeper into barbarian territory. What's going on inside the flying machine?
Well, Liam is sitting indeed in his comfortable leather chair, and is looking is still at the point looking at Mr. Brick, as Geist has just seconds ago entered the plane, and he's like, holy shit, and he's kind of looking at the two of them and is a bit flabbergasted by these two entities who he's now in a plane with. And he says, I'm assuming we're heading to headquarters?
Mr. Brick turns to him and says, yeah, bad guys need breaking. Let's get them.
Bad chance on that one, says Geist with his black cowl that rests over his face, only revealing two round dots that slightly glow about, as I'll show you right here in this one. And Geist looks over at you, and he goes,
Ugh.
We're heading straight over there. We're taking out the head leader, the snake, if you will, of this operation. We're going to cure this cancer once and for all.
We are going to do what?
We're going to bring Ironside to justice, as they say.
Who the hell's Ironside?
Leader of the barbarians. Didn't you get your info?
I was supposed to get some intel on some weapon transaction. That's what I did, and I was assuming that we're going to head back to our home, and I was able to see this pit everyone's talking about. Right?
He looks down at the ground a bit and back up. You're not sure if he's puzzled or not. That cow offers very little emotional expression. And he simply looks up at you. Well, in either case, that's where we're heading now. To the barbarians' territory.
Okay.
As you guys, by the way, Geist would know that when Liam mentions the pit, he realizes that he's talking about the reflecting pool that Platemancer had in the forge, the reflecting pool through which he did most of his big magic, such as teleporting everybody to, the scene of the crime and stuff like that. But as you're kind of gliding through there, you notice that the pilot is kind of pressing buttons there, and you get to your headset. You hear your group's leader or founder, Tanya Vasilievich, coming into radio for you guys, saying, "We're nearing the location of the barbarians right now. Because of your intel on the last missions from all of you, we have been able to locate the current location of the most elusive enemy the city has, Ironside, which is exactly why we must not compromise our presence here. Your current mission is to infiltrate the steel refinery on the eastern block of the city, where we have determined that Ironside most likely is located. This location will also include many of the other gang leaders. Liam reported to everyone that that White Lightning, the leader of Thorhammer's gang, one of the vassals of the barbarians, was heading with a speedboat into the to meet up with with Ironside, as well as Mr. Brick reporting that the Leathermasters gave him intel about their leader, the Mistress, being present there, and also all other leads leading up to this abandoned steel refinery. We must not focus on taking out the enemy, because the enemy may easily overpower you if you are compromised. We do not. I do not give. Your primary objective is not to take out the enemy. Your primary objective is to provide further reconnaissance. We will need to know what the barbarians and what Ironside is up to, and where they operate around the city, and where we might actually hit and hurt them. For that reason, I am only charging Mr. Brick and Geist with the actual reconnaissance to the actual location. I will need, Liam, for you to stay behind and stay in the vessel. We cannot send in our reconnaissance drones. Those would give up the operation immediately to the enemy. We need them to think that they are not being watched, and for that reason, Liam, I'm going to need you to provide the Mr. Brick and Geist with information about what's going on outside the steel refinery. I'm going to need you to park the Black Cat nearby and use your illusionary powers to conceal its presence and provide intel to your squad mates. Is everything clear?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I guess I could do that.
Mr. Brick slowly raises his hand.
I'm not sure she can see you, guy. Yeah. What's her name?
Ma'am, what is recon? I'm not really good at hiding.
Oh.
Anymore. He puts that in like a long pause. Anymore. He kind of rolls his eyes a little.
Well, reconnaissance actually in this context would be meaning spying. If you are not capable of attaining information through infiltrating the facility, you would be most useful taking out enemies and looking out for them to go wherever Geist is preparing to go to infiltrate, to watch out for his back. But you have free reign to you are more aware of your own powers and your own limits than I am from behind this radio. So as long as the mission objectives are met, you have free reign to use your better judgment.
Are there any civilians we need to watch out for?
That is what Liam will be for, to provide you with information of that nature from behind the from beyond the enemy lines here from the vehicle. The side window of the vehicle can be converted into a night vision and thermal vision apparatus, and with which Liam can have a clear image of what's going on outside the refinery itself.
So what would we state as information that I need to share with, I suppose, these two?
If you see people come in, if you see people get out, if you see indeed civilians, if you see heavy weaponry, if you locate anyone who seems to have any sort of superhuman qualities, if you notice any abnormalities, if you notice any familiar
All right, pretty much everything. Okay, I got it. Jeez.
Very good. Is everyone clear?
Crystal clear on that one. We'll do reconnaissance, but I'll be honest with you. If I get a shot at him, I'm going to try to take him out.
But do not compromise the mission in order to do so.
Roger that. He sits there with his arms folded.
So, I'm understanding you are Geist and you Mr. Brick?
That is correct.
Yeah, that's me.
All right. Well, nice to meet you too.
Same here, Liam. Is that that's your superhero name?
No, no, that's my superhero name.
Oh, you don't want to change it to like something different?
Why?
Where's your
Lee is
cape?
an awesome name. My cape's at the
Yeah.
dry cleaner. It's gonna be back probably tomorrow. It's well, they had a malfunction at the dry cleaner, and it's a whole story. I don't want to bother you with it.
Oh,
But do you have one of those cool masks that you're wearing? Maybe a spare or something? I could.
no. You see, he reaches down and goes into his small pouches he has on his belt, and
Holy shit!
pulls
Where are you
out-
going, man? What the? I don't need your underwear, okay? Just.
No, I have in my thing. And he pulls out a large handkerchief, and he says, "Here, you can use this."
Have you used it?
No.
Awesome, thanks. But seeing as the fact I won't be interacting with criminals, I'm sure I'll be okay.
Okay. You see on his other hand, he hands you a lollipop.
Well, Liam could always just create a construct mask for himself anyway.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, while that's going on, you hear again from the pilot seat, buttons being pressed, just, and you hear from your radio, arriving at drop point. And you indeed notice that the flying vehicle, the Black Cat, is kind of putting on the brakes. It's kind of it's kind of a hovercraft vehicle that doesn't make too much noise. It's not the noise of a helicopter or anything. It's more like the kind of noise that like Luke Skywalker's sand glider thing does. Like this kind of and it kind of it kind of lowers itself on top of a I will say a 5-story building that has a kind of a smooth surface roof on it, and just kind of lowers itself there and just kind of parks. And the door that gets opened, it kind of opens upwards like the DeLorean or something. From both sides they can open. It opens from the side that's not pointing at the docks, just in case. But there you are, it's parked there, and immediately as that happens, the side door that does point to the docks immediately gets almost like some sort of a smartphone app. Just this kind of window opens on it where it becomes transparent, and it's like black and white where you can see anything that emits heat, basically humans mostly, body heat, you can see those as these kind of bright white silhouettes on, a light gray backdrop where you can easily see all sorts of details, and there's all sorts of buttons to press on the screen to, enhance and zoom and change different kind of visions and whatnot. And
pretty much as soon as the thing lands, I hurry out. And I look around at what we're standing on, so it's on a roof or something, and I kind of stick my hand in my pocket and I pull something out in my fist, and I kind of look around and I start to move my hand a bit, and I start to shape an illusion around the plane where it kind of goes up into the background.
Okay, what sort of an illusion are you creating exactly, and is there anything visual or anything you want to mention about what it's like to use one of these things you have in your fist?
Yeah, I pretty much it's like it almost seems like I'm pulling a curtain over it as I kind of move my hand, and like a water tower or something appears, and like a little thing that's higher on there where you can take the stairs down through the building and that sort of stuff. So that's pretty much what I'm creating as an illusion to hide the plane where it is at this time.
Okay. Anything about the actual piece, like anything anybody would see, or is it just like a closed fist?
No, it's pretty much I have my fist on it, and it's kind of there's this energy coming from my hand as I kind of pull this cloak over it, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Inside the ship, you won't notice any difference. You will just notice, Liam doing his, little thing with his hand and all that. But if you go outside, you will definitely notice the effects.
Yeah, Mr. Brick kind of leaps out, and the whole ship kind of shifts and moves as this massive weight is removed from the repulsors or whatever it is keeping it aloft. He hits the ground, but really surprisingly quietly for a massive person. He kind of hits the ground and turns. Then when he sees Liam, and he kind of sees the energy around him, he looks back and he's like, "Whoa, that's cool. What else can you do?"
I look at him and you're going to be busting asses, right?
If I have to, yeah.
I kind of put my hand in my other pocket and kind of... Luna, please. I kind of look at the sky, and I look like, which one you like?
You see, he looks up, and he looks back, and he looks back up. I don't know.
Which one of the stars? Which one do you like?
Stars? There are no stars.
Yeah,
there are no stars, whatever. Oh.
Black smoke of the dome.
All right, I'd look up and say like, "Fuck, no stars." Okay, so I kind of put my hand on the ground and I kind of like pull like these huge gloves out of the ground from the ceiling that we're standing on, and I say, "Here, these are for you."
I kind of grab them and what do they feel like? What are they? Are they
just
stone
heavy
or
metal kind of gloves things.
Like gauntlets?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they're
Awesome.
constructs.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you created a construct. You did create the wall and the jackhammer in the bar in the last session. Is there anything when it comes to constructs? Do they look like just completely like 100% the real thing, or is there anything that makes them look different from other things?
They pretty much look like the real thing. It's not like they're green for like when Green Lantern makes them or something. They look original, but they probably will have a certain tone, a certain style to it. So I wouldn't be surprised if like on these gauntlets there are some runic inscriptions or something like that.
Okay, nice. So yeah, that's what Mr. Brick says.
Immediately, Mr. Brick slips them on. He says, "Oh, thank you. These are awesome." He's like, "I hope they don't break apart when I punch something."
Well, if they do, I'll make you new ones.
You see, he smiles. He doesn't say anything. He smiles and just stares at his hands like.
And all the while, Geist begins to float out silently as the night wanes on. The wind kind of slightly blows as he comes on by and gently lowers himself between you two gentlemen. As he does so, his arms are crossed, and his silent demeanor, looking over the surroundings around him, looks towards you, Mr. Brick, and then back towards Liam. And as he does, he simply looks back at you, Liam, and says, "A very useful power indeed."
Jesus Christ, motherfucker! You should sneak up on people like that, man. God damn it!
I wasn't sneaking.
Well, clear your throat for Christ's sake, Jesus! Thank you. It's you want something?
No, but if I need anything, I'll let you know.
All right. I'll be in the plane. Take care. Whew, fuck. I start walking into. I kind of feel like, oh yeah, here's the entrance, and I kind of enter there.
Okay.
Guys, look at these gloves that Liam made. I still think he needs a mask and cape, but and a better name. But he made these cool gloves.
He stares at you is what happens. There's a silent stare that is given to you. And again, without knowing any of the emotional state of this individual underneath that cowl of his, you cannot quite tell exactly what is going through his mind. Is he berating you? Is he somehow shaking his head and metaphorically speaking? None can tell, but the silence is quickly broken as he says to you, "The gloves are complimentary. Other than that, he can do what he wishes. We best get to it then. Which side will you be taking, Mr. Brick?"
With that,
I'll kind of interject because I'll mention what basically is that you're seeing there. Actually, the best sight of the whole thing is for Liam to see through the window with the heat vision thing. Basically, the docks is a pretty large area there. It's kind of a fenced-off area with a large gate that's completely open for people to go in as they wish. It's kind of a chain-link fence, so it's easy to climb over as well. But there's a lot of corpses that don't no longer emit body heat. One of the things that the barbarians do that other gangs don't is that they like to display a lot of these violent displays that they get into, all these lynchings and crucifixions and whatnot, all sorts of dead bodies strung up on fences and on walls and on lampposts and whatnot. And in many ways, they act very much like a medieval brigand war band or something of that like. So basically, yeah, there's the gates that are open, and the entire steel refinery dock area is rather large. And from the window, Liam can see that there's somewhere around, something like 100 people there. They're kind of scattered because it's a large area, and there's basically two sets of buildings there when it comes to the refinery. There's the old factory section itself that has all the smokestacks and stuff like that. That, of course, no longer produces any smoke or anything because it's an abandoned refinery that's basically used just as a location. And the other building is more of an actual, like a concrete, kind of maybe like a storage or something of that sort, maybe where offices or something like that are located. And a lot of the people there that look to be the great majority are barbarian gang members, and there's a little section of each of the vassal gangs, but not nearly in the volume that there are barbarians. There's barbarians with all sorts of vehicles. They have all sorts of pimped out, overly masculine, kind of ridiculous vehicles, very Mad Max-ish, with this kind of, they're just, kind of, a lot of them are kind of playing around rather than being like on duty. There's few people who are clearly, like in guarding posts and stuff with assault rifles, at the ready near doors and whatnot. But there's a lot of them that are just, kind of shit talking to one another. They're, firing their guns in the air. They're like, giving like the throttle to, their vehicles and stuff. There's all sorts of crazy vehicles, and some vehicles have like strapped on them, like naked people with their, asses protruding from the sides of the vehicles, getting taken advantage of like slaves and whatnot. Some of the barbarians do have like slaves at the end of chains, that they're bringing along with them. They all wear their gang kind of sign. They all wear this kind of college jacket-like jacket that's completely chrome colored with the double axe barbarians logo on the back. They also have that kind of Mad Max feel where they have a lot of mohawks and a lot of straps and that sort of stuff on them. It's very much like this kind of it's kind of like a gathering almost. It's more of a kind of, it has this kind of a rock show kind of a thing where people are just hanging out, and only a fraction of them seem to be on duty. And it's hard to pinpoint any specific, people there, but you do notice, because you recognize the speedboat, you do notice, Liam, that the speedboat of White Lightning that she left with from the docks where the rigged arms deal was dealt with, where you were witness to it, arrives to the docks from the distance. You see the speedboat, and you see one single person leaping off of it that fits the kind of body shape and description that you have of White Lightning.
All right, I pretty much try to relay at least the crucial information of this to the people, especially, of course, the fact that White Lightning appears, the estimated amount of people, that sort of stuff, that they're all not alert and that sort of thing, that there are a couple of guards. I try to kind of pinpoint if there's like a section where there are more than your average spray of guards or people that appear to be alert. And but I do inform them that there's a lot of people just hanging about and just chilling, and that this is pretty much like their home turf, and that if shit goes right, then there's definitely going to be a lot of backup.
All the more importance for us to stay undercover, I suppose, in this instance. Seems like something big's going to be going down.
Looks like it, yeah.
He kind of floats over, and as he moves, as he flies gently through the air, albeit there are small wisps of smoke that kind of come off of his visage as he lifts off the ground and floats towards one of the crucified bodies hanging up there. A horrified expression leached across its face as its last days this individual, this poor common man, had to face. He floats up towards it, and just with the ever so gentle ease of death, lifts his hands up, grabs onto the corpse, and then phases it out through the ropes, allowing it to fall free from these shackled bonds, before floating back down and looking back over towards you two, and says, "All right, then. Does anyone have any stratagems that they'd like to employ or share with the rest of the group?"
Don't be seen.
Those that are unobvious, I should rephrase.
Mr. Brick kind of looks from Liam to Geist, to Liam, then back to Geist, and he said, "Well, if I was who I, in the past, no. Once I used to do stuff for, anyways, I would look for a place where I could hide and slowly take out all the henchmen and then crush the leader. But we don't know where the leader is, so I could jump down and kill everyone."
Brick, there's about 100 people there.
Mr. Brick, I'd like to inform you, and he kind of just floats over towards you with his arms crossed, his feet kind of slightly pointed down as he gets near you. I would like to point out to you that our main mission here is to stay undercover. To do so in your fashion would violate that, though I do appreciate the enthusiasm.
Oh, you're right, guys. I'm sorry. I was thinking of another plan that I wanted to use on a different mission, I think.
As a reminder, the steel refinery was split into, incidentally, 2 buildings, so that's at least something that can like stick out. Where if you go your separate ways or something, there's a building each for you to check out.
Guys, just so I'm clear about what's going on, can you turn invisible?
No, I have no ability to do such, but I can phase through many objects.
Alright, that's very good to know. Thanks.
Do your constructs reach very far?
Yeah, they're reaching reasonable distance, but I usually keep them pretty close.
Duly noted.
You see Geist takes like 10 steps towards the edge of, not so he's looking over the edge, but so he gets a better look of the two factories and kind of surveys them. And you can see that he's kind of like thinking, which, you know, it's something he's not used to doing. But he ends up looking over and he says, kind of points out to the distance to the factory on the left. He's like, that one is more brick and it's darker. He's like, I can watch that one easier.
Very well. I'll take the other one.
I'll stay here.
With that, you see he kind of takes his cloak off and kind of ties it and then puts it into a pouch in the back of his utility belt. And he does his skin, when the light hits him, kind of turns a bright reddish color, but kind of turns like a brickish texture to it. He kind of like flexes, muscles contorting, and then he kind of takes 3 steps, looks back, waves, and then he leaps the 500 feet or so to the next building to get on top of it and kind of hide in the brick.
All right.
And Geist begins to lift himself slowly into the air, and then he flies over towards the building he needs to get to. And as he does so, making sure to stay high in the sky, and of course in the city of eternal night and black and white, gray clouds, he somewhat meshes in. Not an easy figure to spot due to his repertoire of clothing, but he himself gets into a building and begins to do his work.
All right. Well, now I'm going to ask both Geist and Mr. Brick to give me a stealth roll to see how well you do indeed stay hidden. Of course, take into account Mr. Brick's abilities to, meld into dark areas. Take that into account when you roll. And of course, with Geist, the fact that you're in the air, the difficulty will be way lower than just sneaking in the classic way.
So just so you know, Eunice, Eunice, get it? Yeah. The power that I have naturally from the brick stuff is called concealment, and it just says it blocks normal sight. There's no dice roll or anything for it. So okay. I guess as long as I'm within like a wall or area of darkness like that, it conceals it. I do have stealth though, so do you want me to roll, I can roll that. Do you want to give it a bonus or just roll it?
Yeah. Well, why don't you just roll basic stealth, and I'll just take that into consideration. I'll note the fact that
like cameras and shit could still see me because those aren't considered. Like I think that they might pick me up or other sites, types.
Yeah.
I got a 22. I rolled.
Okay, that's really good. No problem. What about Geist?
And Geist has rolled a 19 in total.
Okay, 19 is fine as well. I was thinking something along the lines of 15 or lower as the difficulty, so everybody's in the clear. No problem. So yeah, there you go. How about Mr. Brick? How is you said you leaped from one rooftop to another and then kind of melded into the brick texture. How are you planning to enter the kind of gated area of the docks where the steel refinery buildings are?
Yeah, I guess in my head I was picturing that those are vantage points to looking over the dock, or are they possible buildings where our targets could be? I was actually thinking that we'd have to search each of these buildings. This was in my head when I was doing it. Or is our priority the docks themselves, like farther along?
Oh yeah, you can leap on top of the roof of the actual building that you want to get into. It's like from your vantage point, there's like a couple of streets, then a gate for the docks, and in the docks there is the steel refinery that has its own section of like what are those called? Those things that ships dock into. the
moorings or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. one of the English words that I can't get into my head. But yeah, so it's that kind of thing where if you go to the steel refinery, you're already in the proximity of everybody around there, so you'll have to be stealthy indeed. If like, let's say if you plan on leaping onto the roof of that building, you stand a great chance of getting seen, basically because of the amount of weight kind of thumping on the ceiling and that sort of stuff. So.
Yeah, no, I was thinking he would probably move to the outside edge of the building, kind of flip over, and then begin crawling down, almost Spider-Man-esque, except he's a massive giant guy crawling down the wall, until he got to a position that's lower, like ground level, and then looking for points where he can start moving between the buildings instead of leaping.
Okay. There was the chain link fence kind of before the dock area that had all the crucified kind of bodies strung off of it. So are you like planning to leap over that, or are you planning to like climb over it where you would have to like get into actual physical contact with the dead bodies and stuff? Or
Mr. Brick would yeah, he would not want to touch the bodies. So he might just, I mean, depending on how high the fence is, he might just do like a tiny jump and just leap over the, you know, if it's only 10 feet high.
Something like 12 feet tall or something.
Yeah, so he'll wait until he thinks it's safe and then make a micro jump just over that.
Okay. And for that, I'm gonna take into consideration the stealth roll you did. So you know, as you get to the fence, you know, getting close enough anyway to seeing the dead bodies. It's kind of very disconcerting when you gaze, but kind of like it's easy to tell yourself like just don't pay attention to them, just get past them. But when you notice something, like you notice a specific mole on a certain part of the body, or you notice that somebody has like a pregnancy scar, or somebody has something like that, it immediately humanizes them really, really strongly, especially for somebody like Mr. Brick, who has bottomless sympathy for children and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, as Mr. Brick is walking up to it, he's just assuming that's all just men, like just bodies, and doesn't bother him at all. If he spots or sees like a child or a woman, his face just drops and drowns out. You can see almost immediately his eyes water up as if he's going to tear up and cry. He even kind of cringes and kind of looks away, trying not to look at any of them. And at the same time, he wants to reach out and pull them down and rest their, you know, whatever bodies, their damaged bodies, and place them on the ground. But he knows that, you know, probably looking up and down the fence, that'd be a futile thing to do now. With that, he jumps. Now, instead of just trying to jump over the fence, seeing that, he kind of jumps farther beyond, maybe even up against the nearest building, just so he can hit the building and grab a hold of it. Just to get as far away from that site. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I want to mention that Liam is in his vantage point. He can see Mr. Brick hesitating when he gets to the fence, and you can also see the gray in the heat emission. You know, no longer producing body heat. You know, the corpses on the fence. You know, you can see that when Mr. Brick gets close to them, he kind of pauses and has, you know, some sort of hesitance before he gets over. So, you know, you spot that.
You could probably hear him over the microphone, like breathing heavy too, like, and he never really breathes heavy because he's never really exerting himself. So this seems to be something almost like a hyperventilating sound that's coming over, maybe.
Are you okay there, Brickhead?
No. There are women and children on the fences. These creatures, these men, they're beasts. They need to be killed, swatted, destroyed, crushed, smashed.
All right, calm down. We don't want to lose sight of the bigger picture here. You could probably kill a couple of them, but then they'll just grab you and do whatever. So just stick to the plan, okay?
You don't understand. They're children. Tiny children.
Yeah, well, you can't do anything for them right now.
Mr. Brick, I suggest you stay on target.
Yeah, what guy said.
you kind of hear a, and then just kind of like a crunching sound, as you can tell. Probably whatever he's holding onto is getting crushed into dust underneath his hands, and he's just crushing it. Though he doesn't respond with any words.
He turns his while Geist doesn't say anything, in his mind a bit of a internal monologue, if you will, and will kind of shift the perspective a bit as he doesn't say this out loud. This is just his own inner thoughts for the audience and stuff to hear, and in a soliloquy, if you will, baby, he will sit there and say to himself, "What a crackpot team we've got together now. All we need now is a." Let's see here. Let's see. What else do we need? Oh, yeah, we need this whole situation to fuck up already. Damn it. These two. If this is the best the city can offer, then so be it. And we merge back out of his thoughts, and as he approaches one of the buildings, he doesn't fly through them. Instead, he walks, and he'll start walking through doors and peeking his head out every now and again, sticking to the shadows. Maybe a guy walks by. He's got like a big a post-apocalyptic style bat, just like patting it into his hand as he walks by. Yeah, so I was telling him, if you don't give me the money, I'll fuck him up. And you know what? That some bitch gave me all of his cash on the spot. As he walks through a door, maybe some miscellaneous punk music is being played, and then Geist slips on through like that of the phantom that he is. All the while sticking to the mission details as best as he can, but ringing into the back of his mind what Mr. Brickhead said, these are animals, these are beasts. He thinks to himself in his own mind. For a little bit more internal dialogue you hear in his own mind, he says, beasts, no, they're more like cancer. And this cancer has festered deep. As he looks within these very buildings and stuff, to seeing these many youths, these many individuals who have just gone completely over to utter anarchy, which in his mind itself is an absolute illusion. Yes, oh, look at them all, fleeing in their own self-delusional ways of empowerment. Yes. Each and every one of them is nothing but a festering, fornicating piece of human filth, devoting themselves to their own self-destruction. In time, I will relieve them of such pain, but for now, they are to be left alone until my leisure. His eyes narrow behind that mask, and he continues forward towards the destination location of our mission objective.
Yeah, that's nice. You're walking on this kind of graded factory kind of floor that gives out this kind of if you step on it completely loosely or something. But as you're being stealthy and all of that, how you described it, pretty much. Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. Meanwhile, as Geist has now already entered his building there. Mr. Brick, having arrived to the inside of the gate there next to the building that he was looking to infiltrate into, you notice that outside of it, you notice that it has windows on like the higher level. It's only like let's say 2-story height of a building, but it doesn't look like it has like stories. It just that height, where it only has windows close to the ceiling and no windows on the ground level kind of thing. And you notice that there's the big front door that has like 2 guards on it with like actually like holding their like assault rifles in their arms, and they look like they're taking their job as guards seriously enough. And in front of them, there's one of the barbarians' vehicles parked there. This kind of kind of like chopper with 3 wheels, where there's 2 big back wheels and the chopper Harley front to it with like huge exhaustion pipes pointing upwards and all that, and a big collection of skulls at the front there and all this stuff. And there's a little circle of barbarians. They're like let's say 8, forming a circle, and there's two clearly like slaves of some kind that they're kind of nabbed from somewhere. They're completely nude and they're full of bruises and they're full of cuts and stuff. And the barbarians are standing in a small circle and they're making the two naked dudes fight one another. They're both men. One is a kind of a burly, hairy black guy with a bald head, and the other one is like a bearded a white guy with like a greasy hair. And they're both pretty, like they look like they could fight each other, but they look like they're really beaten down. And every time, as they kind of brawl with one another, somebody gets kind of pushed back. One of the barbarians forming the circle kind of uses the butt of their gun to kind of like push them back towards the other combatant there. And it's very much like this kind of a Mandingo kind of a situation. It's rather reprehensible. And those are basically the enemies in your close proximity. The vehicle blocks quite a lot of the view there. It's kind of like between this group of people with the fight and between the rest of the group, where you could easily, feel comfortable enough sneaking there without alerting the entire group if you're quiet enough. The mute is on.
Right now, I I turn and surveying that, and then I'm stuck on the wall, so I'm thinking, I kind of look up towards the roof, knowing I can easily get up on the roof and see what's up there, but not knowing if there's an access. Then it stopped, and still angry and frustrated, kind of like, Liam, is there anything on the roof of this building?
I zoom into his building and I kind of look. No, everything seems to be pretty quiet. There are people moving about, but nothing big.
Nothing on the roof.
And on the roof, it's quiet. Nothing there.
Is there an entrance to the building from there?
You see a kind of a maintenance hatch there, where it's most likely a hatch, and underneath it, it's going to be like a long ladder down or something, but not like one of those duplex things where there's actual door with staircase or anything. So yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah, he's actually thinking, and I kind of stop and. Leah, you guys actually probably hear him mumble. He's like, if I go this way, I can kill the two at the door. And I kind of drop down, and I stealth around towards by the bike to where the front entrance is.
Oh, okay. You're going to go that way. Okay. Well, now that you're using the brick wall and kind of melding into it and melding into the texture, going all Predator with it, you don't have to worry about getting spotted unless you just outright burst out of it or anything. You do see that the front door is basically like a two-door size door, like two regular doors, like swinging together like that. And there's another door like further away that's like a one-person door, but that's like actually boarded up. It's something that hasn't been, even though it's abandoned, it's most likely been boarded up during the time it's been abandoned and it's not been taken into use. So and it's also further away. So this double door is the viable option. And yeah, there's the two guards, and between the guards and between the circle of guys, with the fight there and the bike, there's something like, let's say, 20 feet between them. So yeah, what's Mr. Brick gonna be?
Yeah, I basically move as close as I possibly can to them, and then using I got a ton of advantages. Basically, I have like fast grab and stuff, and improve grab, improve hold, basically all those things. Is it possible? Am I big enough to be able to grab both of them?
I would have you make a roll for that, but it's definitely a viable option.
They're close. Yeah, so basically I'll appear out of nothing. During their like slight surprise, I'll grab both their faces with my massive hands, and then just kind of slam their skulls together.
Okay. There is a possibility that the group that's kind of paying attention to the little fight they have there rigged up might notice that. So
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, Mr. Brick is almost hoping they see him.
Oh, okay. Well, Mr. Liam will be noticing this from the camera from the vehicle, but of course, since you're not announcing what you're about to do on the radio waves, the other members of the group won't know that. But yeah, you're taking a risk there. But yeah, go ahead. I'll just have you make a roll. Roll your fighting, I believe, and add any of the kind of specialties and skills you have for that.
17 plus 7 is 24.
Okay. Yeah. No problem. Okay. Let's just in case look at the defense matrix on the actual book here. Let's see. 27. Yeah. No need to grab the book. No way. No. Yeah. You grab both of them and you go and yeah. Out of Liam sees with the thermal vision camera there from the Black Cat, you see from the side of the building while you can still see everybody there and what's been described before. You can see Mr. Brick's arms protruding from the wall, and indeed, like you described, grab the two guards from behind of from their heads and smash their heads together. With that force, with them being just regular people, the skulls get completely, pounded inward. They don't just kind of clook and just get unconscious, unless you want to especially try to be like with restraint.
Oh no, these beasts need to be dead.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. It's like if
and I'm not holding back any strength at all. I mean, I'm crushing their fucking heads together.
Yeah.
Blood, brain matter spraying everywhere.
Yeah, if you can imagine like the profile of a face, it's like half of the face getting just like the ears are like touching each other from both sides as the faces kind of come like like cantaloupes just to one another with every gore spraying around there. Yeah, you witnessed this on the heat camera there, and yeah, when Mr. Brick does that, Mr. Brick can easily see, and Liam can also see the people in the little group that's like that have the slaves fighting one another. A couple of them do notice this. They notice their friends spontaneously getting smashed together. So yeah.
Holy shit! What the hell's going on, Mr. Brick? What the fuck did you do?
You hear? Oops.
Holy shit! They noticed you. They're on your back. They're on your back.
With that, Mr. Brick doesn't say anything. He kind of just smiles to himself and then opens the door and goes in and closes it.
What? No, no! Don't go in. You just the enemies just saw the guards' heads explode. As they came together. They'll sound the alarms if you don't take care of them.
You hear Geist chime in as he hears this franticness. If there are any witnesses there, you need to deal with them now. Neutralize them.
So Mr. Brick is reaching behind to go inside, and he's like, and then
well, it's like as you're about to go inside, it's as the enemy is about to scream, "What the fuck?" or something, or open fire outright. So
yeah, I mean,
if you don't want the 100 people coming at you,
abort!
are you gonna scream abort?
No. I'm like looking at the monitor like, holy fuck, this is intense!
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Mr. Brick just fucking, the nearest guy with his mouth about to open, he just leaps at him and just comes down using his fucking area damage to just hit the ground that explodes, knocking everyone flying.
Okay.
Holy shit!
And then he's like, I think we might have a problem.
Oh, man. Well, there you go. There Mr. Brick goes. his idea of a sneaking mission. Um, well, there you go. Leaping forward and doing the smashing thing. The enemies luckily don't fly far enough for other barbarians to notice them, but they fly across like to the fence, to the bike itself, and to the brick wall of the building that you were kind of leaping off of. And there's also the slaves that were made to fight one another who also kind of fly off. But everyone's still very close around you, and they're kind of like, ugh, on the ground with.
They're just knocked down, right? They're not dead. They're just knocked down, right? They're not like dead or something.
Yeah, they're knocked down.
No,
Yeah,
okay.
Well, what does Mr. Brick do when?
Oh, you want to continue? Oh yeah, Mr. Brett.
Do something, brickhead!
If he reaches down, and the only thing he can do, he grabs the nearest guy's leg and just kind of flings him at the wall to try to silence him. I mean, eventually he'll start silencing him one at a time.
Good idea. But the best plan you came up with is to fling a heavy body to a chain link fence. That's not gonna make sound at all. You know?
But he's not. This is not how he fights. He doesn't. He's not a stealthy fighter, man. He just hits shit and explodes.
Here we're kind of seeing.
To take a toilet break.
Oh
You know,
man.
the motorcycle's right next to him.
Yeah.
Oh no, that doesn't make any sense either. But
Well, I'm leaving it up to you, but I'm giving you a choice to kind of reiterate your plan if you wish.
I have something to add. So now, Geist has heard much of the chatter going on. Does he see any do these gang members seem to carry like radios on them and stuff, or any
No.
other form of?
No,
Okay.
no radios. It's basically just shouting orders kind of thing.
Oh, it's just shouting and stuff.
Yeah,
Alright,
like megaphone or something like that on a leader or something like that.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very
Okay.
crude.
I gotcha. So, with that in mind, Geist isn't nearly as nervous about it. As long as he's able to take out these individuals, it'll be fine. It'll be a right mess when someone finds it, but again, word of mouth is a precarious thing. So, with that in mind, Geist, he'll just continue along his way. He seems to have a bit of faith in Mr. Brick's ability, but though he will chime in and say, Mr. Brick, I suggest you finish them off nice and quick-like. The longer this prolongs, the more noise you make, the more commotion that'll be heard. It'll blow our cover. Geist out.
oh, right. Sorry, guys. New strategy, misdirect. Yeah. And he goes over and runs towards the nearest grouping of guys, and he screams, "Welcome to the cage!" And he just kind of spins around in a circle, doing his Zangief, just smashing them,
Okay.
hitting as many of them as he can to try to take them down.
Just with the pure luck, close by, somebody is showing off his V8 engine, just making a lot of covering noise as you go do your Zangief stuff. And as you kind of grab somebody by the wrist and neck and kind of like run them off, and they kind of go to the chain link fence and bounce off of it, running at your direction again as you make your clothesline. By God, it's broken in half. As with Mr. Brick's strength, the moves are pretty much deadly each time. Crushing somebody's throat in, or breaking half of their face, or their skull getting crushed, whatever. What sort of visual aids? What sort of wrestling moves are we seeing?
Well, at first when he does that, he gets in the middle. He knocks like 3 or 4 of them just flying. He knows that's not good too, because if he doesn't kill them, then he has to run and grab them. So he just starts running up to them, using his fast grab, just grabbing them. and you're just kind of snapping their necks or breaking, not breaking their arms or anything like that, but just trying to kill them as efficiently as possible. Every time he's like, "We don't," grabs the next guy. It's like, "Kill," and he grabs the next guy. It's like, "Children," or women, and he's just going to the next one. And guys are like, "No, no, no!" As they're all starting to try to back away from him now, as he's reaching out and just grabbing them and just moving as quickly as possible. And as some of them try to start to move or even yell, if he sees one reaching for something that is loud or a megaphone or something, he's going to just leap into the air and come down on top of him, crush him into the ground, creating a pancake-sized dead man of blood and viscera. With that, he now spins. He's covered in gore, just dripping, drenched with blood, guts, brain matter, looking for his next victim. And there's like maybe a few guys like just kind of like covering on the ground, like hoping that maybe he doesn't see them. But he does. He sees them, and he remembers the children in the fences, and he kind of steps forward, grabbing one, just splitting him in half, ripping his legs apart, killing him instantly. Moving on to the next guy, just crushing him in the face, and then the last one. Does he what?
Because I of course have the camera with the heat vision. So does he find all of them, or do I need to point out anyone out to him?
None of them are like running away, and even those who are like covering in fear are kind of exceptions, because the barbarians are pretty much manic. They are pretty much crazy, So
yeah, it may not
a lot
be
of them
manic,
don't
it
have
might
any,
be more.
they don't. A lot of them don't have too much, kind of like survival instinct.
Yes.
They don't have self-preservation instincts too much anymore.
It could be as much shock too, maybe just seeing this happening in front of them. As he finishes wading through the last of them, drenched in gore, looking around, looking for the two people that weren't part of the group. They're probably like just open mouth, stunned, eyes white, tiny pupils, just in horror, staring at him. And Mr. Brick kind of like, "Geist, Liam, I think I got them all."
You think?
And once again, he surveys, turning. As he does, blood just kind of whips off his face. He turns to the left. He turns to the right. More blood and viscera falls off. He's like, "Yes. And I got your gloves, Turkey."
Yeah, that's okay.
Copy that, Mr. Brick. Excellent work.
Yeah, it's pretty much like for Liam to witness this. It's kind of like Mr. Brick has kind of seemed from his personality. He has seemed kind of like a dopey kind of character with his heart in the kind of right place. Kind of he's kind of kind and simple, but now seeing the damage that he does, just ripping somebody apart. It's you've never seen somebody do that.
How many people did he kill?
Let's see, the 2 guards, and I said 10 people.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's what you witnessed, and it's kind of like with the heat vision, you can like kind of like zoom in and make sure that okay, there's no more heartbeat on that one, no more heartbeat on that one, and around, you can see where people's faces are pointing. Nobody's face is pointing to that direction. A lot of people's faces are pointing to the guy doing the throttle with the engine and all that. That is kind of distracting everyone.
Mr. Brick sort of like trudges towards, the squishing sound of his feet through the bodies that's left over, the intestines. As he gets over to the bike, he looks. Is the key there? Like, would it start up?
Yeah, sure.
He kind of looks at it and looks at the 2 men on the ground. He's like, "Take the bike and get out of here." He's like, "You don't want to hang out here any longer." And then I start moving towards the door.
Okay, as you turn your back and start walking away, that's only when they have the guts to act, and they get on the bike. You can hear the key turn and the engine get off, and even though they've been beating on one another before, they're not enemies. They're just trying to survive. So the 2 of them hop on the bike, and they start to started. And next I'm going to go to Geist, but before I do that, I'm going to have to ask you to entertain the people!
So what's going through Liam's head as he's watching Mr. Brick rip people apart?
He is a bit flabbergasted by all this. He's just like, because just like Jonas said, he was a bit like just a simple-minded man, and now seeing him ripping these people apart, he has to reevaluate his opinion of him.
The dark secrets of our pasts. Where do they come from?
Yeah. Wow. I'm also wondering if this is the right group for me.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I'm like, Liam's probably like, I don't know if these guys are, because we did witness Geist like doing almost a very similar thing, like flying around, dropping people half in the ground, leaving them, not even caring.
We didn't see that, right?
Oh, no, that you all didn't see that, but I didn't leave them halfway through. They disappeared. They're 6 feet under.
Yeah, you were pretty crazy, pulling people out of the flying cars and shit like that.
Yeah, so I haven't seen him massacre people yet, but I'm sure I will.
Well, what does it? Kill like 10 people, you're a murderer. Kill 1,000, you're a king. Kill 1,000,000, you're God.
Yeah.
So I'm working towards that kingly, godly. No, I'm trying not to kill anyone. But they pushed me, man.
I think at least I think at least the Stalin quote is that that if you kill one, it's a tragedy, and if you kill 100, it's a statistic.
Yeah.
Or is that some other quote that you were talking about?
Yeah, that's it. No, that's it.
I was talking a different one about
Okay.
being a king, like the number of people that you can kill. Like
I
I don't remember. I'll find it.
remember in
Probably
Sylvester
each-
Stallone's, the
Yeah.
cliffhanger. In that one, the bad guy did say that kill one, you're a murderer, and kill
Yeah, John Lithgow,
10,000,
I
you're a
think.
conqueror, or something like that.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger, awesome movie, by the way.
I'm glad you got it. You get props. I'll give you 20 experience points for getting it.
Yeah.
Okay.
DMX.
Did you guys talk about anything having to do with the game while I was gone?
Liam was, well, I asked what Liam's thoughts were, and he's like, I don't think I belong with this group.
Okay. In that case, let's go to Geist. Now, while this has been going on, Geist has had a little time to himself. From the time that you entered your side of the refinery there, you've witnessed a lot of the what was going on through the radio, of course, and giving your own intel to the situation as well. You're more in the kind of a factory area, the kind of whereas Brick was going more to a kind of a storage area kind of a place. So when you were going in, were you going closer to the roof or closer to the ground level?
Geist would have started at the roof, and then made his way down. In doing so, moving along these steel grating, as his boots kind of clack ever so against it, making his way on down. Of course, he'll see the occasional dude walking through there. There'll be these clouds of fog and steam that come up from the various machinery and pipes, whose maintenance is now becoming noticeably questionable as they walk by. That cloud of steam comes by, and you'll see Geist there 1 second, and then he's gone the next. As the phantom that he is, he slips in and out each step of the way, and he'll be following them all along, but he'll also be listening to their conversations in the shadows. He'll be trying to garnish some extra details if he can about what's going on. But every step of the way, he'll be making his way on down to the building and out, so he can get closer towards the main event, as it were.
Okay. Well, as you're getting in, the actual like the factory is not in use, so a lot of the actual machinery won't be kind of powered on or anything like that. But the actual like power is on in the building, so that there's lights and electricity and all that stuff. So yeah, there are a lot of machinery that's still like flickering lights, but that are covered in rust and whatnot. But there's no like conveyor belts moving or anything like that. There's no actually molten steel anywhere or anything like that. But yeah, as you go there, there's like all sorts of like ramps and that have like steel stairways downwards to another level kind of thing. There are, you know, little office rooms that have like their doors open, and inside there's nothing but, you know, old like you know, dusty papers on the ground from whenever this factory was still in use, and you know, all sorts of like file cabinets and stuff with the doors being you know, having been torn off in search of anything worth taking or something like that. There's old pencils on the floor as you walk by. There's like somebody's left, you know, a pair of gloves dry sometime, and they're like completely like withered and kind of like brown and all that. You know, there's all sorts of signs that this was once, you know, in full use daily, and now it's just completely like going to it's kind of a fossil of an actual factory at this point, and as the rust keeps kind of spreading, it's you know, becoming more and more of a
Geist begins to you know, contemplate this, and in as many years that he's been in this city, and that he has been ever since the incident had occurred, he's slowly become more and more not just hyper aware of the situation, but he's also become a lot more dulled to it as well. It's a lot more numbing to him to see these things after a while. And you know, when he sees the crucified corpses and stuff, the occasional torched people, the slaves that are brought on by that are all nude and completely degraded like dogs, treated as subhuman. While there is the initial reaction of that righteous indignation to unleash justice and fury upon these fiends, he is also not surprised. It doesn't bother him as much. This is almost expected. You know, if he found a lollipop in this place, he would almost feel a bit of surprise within his very mind. This is the human filth that he expects. And every bit of the way his expectations is being met, and it's only fueling his somewhat inner nihilism ever more, that he keeps creeping along into the shadows. And of course, he sees those rusted gloves. He sees the machinery that used to belong to hard-working folk, the working man, the common man, if you will, baby. And these things are now gone. Jobs are completely wrecked in this city. There's very few work besides being a gang member nowadays. And you know, for Geist, this is something that he thinks about, but it makes him think about the old days, the days of idealism and the days of yore, where everything was much brighter. Those days are gone. He strikes in his mind. Those days are murdered and destroyed. Now what is left here is what the city truly is deep down, a festering cesspool of humanity, fornicating and torturing itself over and over again in its endless cycle of insanity. But of course, Geist, he knows the cure. He has the solution to the problem, and he creeps along, and there's a dude that's there, and he's just kind of, he has a pack of gum, he's just taking out and putting obnoxious amounts of it into his mouth. Yo, yeah, so I was telling him, hey, bitch, give me all your money. And she was like, oh, please, don't. And I noticed he's got a fine ass on him. So what I do, instead I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to cash my check in on this bank. And then these two chuckle fucks start laughing it up the way the way such despicable men do. And of course, as Geist comes by, he is on the ground level at this point, and these dudes are just chatting back and forth, and he kind of almost goes into this strange mode where as he walks, he begins getting lower and lower as his body phases through the ground as he walks, to the point where it's just his head, this cow moving along the ground as if he is a headless, a bodiless head just floating along the ground. And he comes up in between of these two gentlemen who have no idea that Geist is there, and Geist's hands come up to each of their ankles and grab them, and all of a sudden the men kind of look down. Oh, what the fuck? And then they get pulled under as they are phased through the ground. Before they can even let out a shout, a yelp, or anything, their bodies have disappeared into the ground. And then Geist emerges, the only one that emerges from there, as these men are now 6 feet under. Now there is a small, tiny, audible thud-like noise that is created as their bodies have been merged with new matter, the concrete itself down below in the sedimentary level of this factory. Their bodies crushed and merged with the various soil compositions. Yes, a most horrid and quick and benign fate, if you will. Of course, Geist then emerges from there and continues along his way as he gets to the meeting area where the biggest members of each of all the vassals are meeting up together.
No, they're not. Sorry.
Well, I mean, like Liam pointed out, one of the vassals. I mean,
no, the one of the vassals that Liam spotted was White Lightning, who arrived with the speedboat, but she's still outside. She hasn't entered the factory building itself.
Oh, okay. Well, knowing that information, yeah, but in Geist's mind, you know, it's only a matter of time before she might go in. So in his assumptions, he's thinking, all right, some of the vassals might be showing up here. That's sort of his mindset. Perhaps they're not all of them are going to be meeting up at the same time, but as far as he knows, they might be. And in his mind, there's always a conspiracy afoot. So he creeps along the shadows, and he finds a nice area where he can scope out the situation. And when he does, he sets down into the shadows and simply waits. You know, ever so lightly, as the camera pans back, he sits there and exhales. And as he does, you know, there's a bit of that fog that comes from his breath as this building is somewhat cold, or perhaps it's his own visage that is cold. Yes.
All right. As you're staying there, you know, surveying the situation from the inside, as Liam's thermal cameras and stuff have a little bit more trouble penetrating through into the inside of the buildings themselves. But still, you know, you can survey easily from the outside, and you can still see that. For example, where you can clearly spot where White Lightning is, she has not turned to enter any of the buildings. She is outside, clearly conversing with her own gang members at the docks there. As Geist is inside, you know, sitting inside a wall, you know, kind of surveying the situation, as it were, you do notice that there's guards here and there, kind of walking about, and like one of the guards is just sitting on the ground, kind of with a knife, kind of carving some sort of a pattern into his assault rifle's side, kind of some kind of a skull or flames or something like that.
It would be interesting, by the way, just to know if Geist emit heat while he's in his transparent.
No, he does not.
No, he does not. Okay.
Yeah.
Real.
He, like, when turning insubstantial, you'll see his heat signature go from being the normal human body one to just fading out to being nothing. And perhaps from the camera standpoint, it's a very strange sight, because visually he is still there. There isn't really much of a visual difference in this becoming insubstantial. The only way you actually tell visually is if you actually see him effortlessly pass through, and it is a weird sight. There's no smoky after effect like there is when he flies, but when he passes through an object, his fingers just go through it as if it was a hologram.
Hmm.
Is the best way to describe it. And of course, looking through the thermal sensors, it's just a red bleep that just goes away and then comes back again. And then, of course, you do notice that there are some blips that stay heated over others, like a hand might still be substantial while the rest of them is insubstantial. So you just see like the red outline of a hand just moving along and so forth. And these various combinations, a lot of interesting insight you will be garnishing from this.
Yeah, I'll be taking mental notes about these things.
Nice. Okay. Well, basically, guys, while you're sitting there surveying the situation, you don't discover anything that out of the ordinary. There's a couple of guards who kind of come inside and sometimes kind of, oh, well, there's nobody here. Let's fucking go back outside. Yeah, sure. And they kind of turn out and go back outside because everybody's having more or less fun outside at this juncture. Meanwhile, Mr. Brick has now entered the storage facility, and inside you notice that there's like aluminum lighting in the ceiling there. The ceiling is high, and there's only like this one story. There's no like second story or anything like that. It's just that the ceiling is very high, and it's the lighting are lighting the place from there, with some of them kind of buzzing on and off in a corner there. But when you come in, you notice that what's inside is there's a truck. There's a truck inside. Like a storage truck, like an 18-wheeler. Well, not an 18-wheeler. Like it has only that one storage crate on its back. It doesn't have any extra on that, but it's basically parked there. And you notice that it's the size that where I kind of messed up when I described the double door. I should have mentioned that it's a double door on one of those, doors that you can lift up so that a truck can drive out of the storage facility. But that's kind of the deal. The truck is there. You can see that it has like a license plate and everything like that. It's a legit truck that has almost no scratches on it or anything like that. It's like factory fresh. And what you notice around in this storage facility is that there's pretty much no guards anywhere to be seen. But what there is that there's wooden crates. Wooden crates that are about 20 foot tall and something like 10 feet wide, from each side. They're like, if you would think of like a giant refrigerator or something like that, and there's exactly, when you count them, there's exactly 10 crates like that.
I sort of look around, immediately kind of blending with the shadows to hide. I kind of go like that, blow the blood that's dripping off my nose off, then kind of reach up and kind of smear it down just because it's dripping all over. And I kind of look, and it's like, Liam, can you detect anyone in the building? I'm only seeing crates and a truck in here.
I zoom back into him and try to see what's going on.
The heat sensors are kind of having tough time to get inside the buildings, but if you like intensify the emissions where regular people outdoors would kind of become bloated, glowing, like torch lights, you can make out, for example, Mr. Brick indoors there in the storage building, and you notice that there aren't any heat emissions being produced in there.
So you get predator white.
Yeah.
And my hand kind of sinks in my pocket, and I grab one of the stones, and I say, no, I don't think there's anyone there. And then I make a sound appear from close to Mr. Brick, and I say, in a like kind of different voice, I hear make a voice go out, Mr. Brick, are you there?
Mr. Brick, here's that. Here's that.
I mean, at first, when you first say like there's no one in there, immediately you hear he's like good, and kind of then what? You said that who's there?
It's Captain Phantom.
Captain, I thought you were dead.
No, I'm not dead. I'm just captured.
Where are you?
Locked away in a different universe. I can't pass through. I need you to help me.
It's I will do it. What do you need? Liam, Captain Phantom needs my help. He's stuck in another dimension.
When Geist hears this, there's a moment where like, all right, so let me frame this picture for the audience and everyone here. So we have Geist, who is completely and utterly serious. He's just sitting there, crouched down. There's a bit of fog coming out from his vigil. Occasionally, there's a little camera that comes up as he takes a little visual diagram. There's little notes that he's taking, and then he hears this: Captain Phantom's stuck in another dimension. I have to help him. And then all of a sudden, like one of the items almost drops out of his hands, and he quickly grabs it in a stumbled fashion. And then his fist is just balled up as he's just in this utter state of disbelief, and quickly you hear over top of the intercoms, "What did you just say, Mr. Brick?"
Listen to me, Mr. Brick. I need you to help me. I need you to stay focused. I can't have you going on a rampage and endangering the people of the city I was sworn to protect. Do you understand me?
You're muted.
I understand, Captain Phantom. I won't rampage. When innocents are hurt, I
know.
the children.
It angers me much just like it does you. But sometimes you need to look at the bigger picture, and I trust you, my friend. You can do this.
Oh, where can I save you? Geist, Liam, he needs saving. He wants me to not be so crazy.
What are you talking about? Captain Phantom isn't alive. He doesn't exist.
What? No, he's in the no. He does exist, Liam. Geist,
right.
Tell him.
There's a bit of silence on the radio for a little while, and he immediately there's like a little iPhone thing that gets popped up, and like he begins looking over his digital notes that he has in there. Even though this entire place is cut off from the internet and stuff, there's still you can still keep little digital notes, and looking from the background information, he's just scrolling through looking for a history of drugs or any sort of thing like that, because in Geist's mind, he has lost his mind, this individual. And so you then hear a deep sigh on the radio, Mr. Brick, as he goes, "Mr. Brick, have you been doing any drugs? Any sort of narcotics?"
What? No, of course not. Not superheroes don't do drugs.
So you heard Captain Phantom, is that it?
Yeah, he's right here. Well, I mean, I can't see him, but he's right here talking to me. Captain Phantom, can you talk to Geist? Maybe the connection's bad. Yeah, Captain Phantom? Captain Phantom, can you hear me?
Listen, guys, we don't have time for this. Let's move it along.
But he needed my help.
What did he say?
He said that he needed me to help him, but then he also said he needed me not to rampage. I don't know what he
sounds like
wanted.
good advice to me. Just keep going.
Oh, but what if he's in danger?
Mr. Brick, I think you can rest assured that Captain Phantom is just fine. Wherever Captain Phantom happens to be at, I'm sure he is just fine.
But you guys don't understand. He called me, which means he thinks I'm a superhero like him to help him. That means I'm doing things right.
Well, you better keep doing things right. So finish your job, man.
Mr. Brick, you were hired on to the Long Swords. That automatically makes you a member, which is, for the most part, a meta-human group.
Oh. Okay. And then you hear him like he's not talking into the mic, he's talking to the side. It's like, Captain Phantom, if you need me, just let me know where you are, and I will go there. I will destroy buildings if I need to get to you. I'm your biggest fan.
And then with that, he's almost embarrassed that he said that. I mean, we're equals in that we're both powerful super beings that help and fight for the righteous. And he smiles as if he can see him, but obviously there's no one there.
Oh man, Liam, you're mean.
With that, he actually begins to walk towards one of the large 20-foot by 10-foot crates, walking over to him, kind of feeling like pushing it slightly to see the weight, if it's something he can pick up or carry, or...
It's the contents are pretty much around the same weight range as a very small car.
So heavy, really heavy, really. Like the weight of like a stone obelisk or something.
Could be, perhaps.
Shakes it a little bit, and he's like, "Geist, Liam, should I open one of these crates? They're really heavy, like weight of a car."
Best investigate to see what's inside of him.
Yeah, I'll do that.
He kind of reaches out and slowly grabs, kind of pushes his fingers between it and just kind of starts pulling the wood apart. Not
Yeah,
so
it's,
like
it's
hectic.
easy because it's like it's made to be opened easily with a crowbar, so it's easy for you to just stick your fingernails in there and just open it. As you open one of the sides, the scene that is in front of your eyes there, noticing that there are indeed exactly 10 of these crates, and as you open it, you notice that there is a contraption made of stainless steel and some sort of reinforced glass, which turns out to be a tube, a kind of a those kind of alien resurrection kind of tubes where it's not filled with fluid, but you notice that it has that base. It's kind of tilted. It has that glass housing in it, and it has all the little small interfaces with buttons and all that, and it has like all the plug places and all that. And when you see it, it kind of triggers a memory because it's exactly the same model and manufacturer and shape and color, well, no longer a color, that you remember from your childhood when you used to be in this laboratory facility that was riddled with tanks like these. And considering that there's exactly 10 of these, you remember your latest mission as you stormed the warehouse with the Leather Masters, who said that they were housing a control group of 10 children for the barbarians in their storage, whom you rescued. Seeing this kind of connects some dots in your head as you're opening the crate.
Yeah, immediately as all those dots start connecting, just the image alone makes him actually step back
His heart begins to pound. Once again, his breathing starts going heavy. He's like, Liam, guys, they're the beds, the ones from when I was a child. There's a bunch of them. There's 10, like the number of children they were going to capture. What do I do with them? And you can tell that he's under duress, like there's something wrong.
Are there children inside the crates? Is that what you're saying?
No, just the beds from the lab, from the laboratory.
Geez, I don't know. These things, we're not supposed to get them, right?
Use your onboard. Do you have a camera with you?
Yeah, yes, I have the one they gave me.
Do
He
you?
kind of reaches down to his pouch.
Do you have a camera on you?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does, but he doesn't. He has one. He pulls it up and like it's.
Nah, I'm just saying because it's if you don't have in your character's equipment that he has a camera on him, these are exactly the sort of things you use hero points for to say that my character was given a camera.
You could say he didn't have. You can say he didn't have one. I was gonna say he tries to use it, but it breaks because he can't use it because it's so tiny.
Oh, okay. In that case,
Either way, it wasn't gonna.
yeah, it's just that
I was just gonna storyline that he didn't have one, but yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, if it's just something you don't have written down in your equipment or prepared beforehand, something like that. That I suddenly need something. You can use a hero point to just have it. You know, those kind of small changes are what the hero points are for. So, but if like you said, if you're gonna just break the camera, of course.
I was just gonna break it as a story thing, but that's fine. He doesn't use the mechanics because he can't, because he's fucking so big and strong. He breaks everything, so they don't give him anything mechanical. That's why he has the giant Sharpie he writes on his arm, because that's the only way he can. That's his computer.
Okay. Well, as you pull the camera out and you use your fingers to poke on the touch screen and all that, it just it breaks in your hands.
Just crumbles, and he's like, they didn't give me one.
Well, what you see in front of you anyway is that there is this one truck that has a license plate number. It's most likely if these vats are not to be used here, wherever they are going to be used, are going to be transported there with this truck.
You would say this is big enough? Is it a flatbed that's big enough to house each one of these?
Yeah.
And these are 10 by 20 foot by.
Yeah, it's like an Optimus Prime truck, basically.
Okay, a massive.
Yeah, and also, if you want to use basically a hero point, you can also say you have a tracer or something like that. It's like there's all sorts of options you might want to use in that situation.
Yeah, I think in this case, I will actually use a hero point to say that I have a tracer that they would have given me. Since I can't use anything else, I can place these on things without breaking them. But I'll put it inside the machine.
Okay.
Like inside the doorway or something, just in there. And then I'll get my Sharpie out, and then I'll write the license plate number on my arm. Trying to be as careful as possible. He's like, I have the license plate number. And then I actually repeat it to Liam over the radio so he knows it.
Oh yeah, I probably typed it in.
E59973 Alpha 109er. Sorry. You're a little carried away with the numbers.
Okay. Well, anyway, you give the license plate number through the radio, and you expend the hero point to say that you had a tracer with you, and you place that hidden in the tank there. Do you then close the crate or anything like that? You're muted.
Yeah, I immediately kind of reach down and put it back into place and push the nails in, trying to make sure that it's nice and steady and safe. And then I count them again to make sure there's 10. and then I go to the back of the truck and just open it up to look inside to see if there's anything else in there that I might have missed.
There's nothing really in there. There's well, in one corner there's like some sort of raincoat kind of rug that's been put on into a roll and that sort of stuff. Just and a toolbox, but that's about it. Nothing else.
As I'm walking by the truck, the mirrors on the side, and I kind of catch a glimpse of my face with the smeared blood and viscera across. That's now starting to dry and flake off and stuff. And he kind of like sighs and reaches down into one of his pouches and pulls out the tiniest little wet wipe thing and tears it, and then slowly unfolds it, and then just starts wiping his face with the tiny little wet nap, trying to clean up a little bit.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm going to go back to Geist. Geist has now been sitting there inside the walls, just surveying the situation and listening into the interesting conversations on the radio frequencies there. But as you're kind of sitting there, you notice at one point on the kind of side of your eye, from little bit over in a distance, all of a sudden, like this kind of flash, this kind of microsecond of a bright light flash, just kind of at the side of your eye, coming from deeper in the factory rather than from the direction of the front doors or anything.
He quickly turns his head towards the direction of that bright flash, and still keeping to the shadows, he makes his way over there to see what it is.
Okay. As you go forward, you notice that there's a separate room in the factory area there that's made for some sort of finishing touches oven work or something like that, some kind of heating work or something. And you notice that there's like these oven doors, these kind of stand-in ovens and kind of thing, where there's like these heavy-ass bolted metal doors that are all like swung open, that have those big like handles on them, and they all have this little window on them where you can like look in. Oh, okay, they're not done yet, kind of window. But one of them is closed, and you can see from the handle that it's shut. And you can see again when you kind of look into it, you can see again like a microsecond worth of a flash kind of coming from the window from inside.
Geist looks inward curiously. He looks through the window to see what's in there, what's going on.
Okay. As you get closer, you start to feel this kind of a vibration in the air, this kind of a humming kind of, like the kind of throat singing that like some Buddhist traditions do, this kind of, you start to hear that sort of vibration in the air. And as you get closer, you see that the insides of the oven area there, they're not lit. It's completely black in darkness. But as you kind of stare longer and longer into it, you again witness one of those microsecond flashes just, and what you notice is a figure on its knees, a human figure on its knees, with its forehead on the ground in almost like this kind of prayer stance, and you notice some sort of a standing, very slim, human-like figure as well in the further back in the oven, and it was like both of them, as there was this kind of flash of bright white light, both of them were more like silhouettes of black in that kind of flash.
All right, so the figure that I see is just a man kneeling, but I don't make out any other features other than he's wearing black.
No, he's not wearing black. The figure is like a black silhouette because the light.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And I know this is like an industrial oven, right? This is pretty obvious that that's what that is. Are there any controls on the outside?
Yes, there are. There's one of those cranks that just like one of those little bells for boiling eggs or whatnot. And there's a digital stopwatch on the wall. but they all look like they're covered in grime and dust and stuff. They haven't. There's no like fingerprints to show that they've been used during this 5-year period almost at all. There's a control panel kind of thing in the corner there, but it as well looks like it's not even powered up or anything like that. That's about it when it comes to power, any kind of controls.
He immediately walks over and he. This now when the flashes happen, the figure is not moving, correct? It's just still.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, he's going to walk over towards the control because now his curiosity is absolutely piqued. He'll try to shut it off and then open up the door.
It's not actually on. The door is manually closed with just the handle down. It's not like the oven is hot or anything.
Oh, okay. Well, he just assumed the oven was on when he saw the flashes, because he. All right. So
well,
having.
In that case, when you look at the controls, you can see from the controls that it's not been turned on.
Oh, that's curious. Okay, in that case, he's just going to open up the door. Well, actually, he's not even going to open up the door. He's going to phase through it partly, and just kind of look inside.
Okay. In that case, I will need you to make another stealth roll because this is going to be kind of a difficult one because I'm going to actually compete against you with this on this roll.
As a reference, agility, is that applied towards stealth?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I think it would have to be. Wait, I'll check just in case.
It's also a separate skill, stealth.
Yeah, but it's all skills are based on the larger abilities. No, wait, Bill. The skills take the skill number includes the base ability number, right? Like if you have stealth 2 and it's based on agility that you have as 1, your skill is basically written as 3, right?
For some reason on this one, I think Rohir is right that skills are whatever number you have in them are their numbers. That's why like I have an athletics of 20. Otherwise, I would have like an athletics of 30.
Okay, yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
Because they're cheap. They're very cheap to buy when you're.
Yeah. In that case, that's a 9 that I got.
Okay, let's see then. I rolled a 19 plus, of course, what it's based on. So.
I'll play it off like this. So, he's kind of fiddling around, and he's not. He's a bit thrown off by some of the things that Mr. Brick was saying from earlier. This has kind of rustled his jimmies, one might say, as he's fiddling around. And so he might make a few noises as he tries to turn off and on the machine, realizing that it's not, thinking that the figure inside might be dead, perhaps. And then he just phases right through, looking inside.
Okay. As you're just about to enter through the door, you see one last flash of this kind of white light, almost like a strobe light, and you see the figure on the ground in the same position, and you see this time a kind of a profile of the standing figure, and you can make out that it has breasts. And it has a feminine, very slim, very thin, skinny body posture, but it's still like slick black, and you can see all sorts of like that have to be wires or tubes and whatnot going from an area from its head to its shoulders, from its armpits to its wrists, and this kind of things. But it's clearly a female. Feminine figure that's standing there, and each time you've seen these flashes of the strobe light, you've seen her in a different position in there. You've seen her in this side or in front, and every time you're going to turn differently, and you've still heard the kind of hum. I felt it kind of as a vibration in the air, and as that kind of flashing has kind of felt there, and you phase through. When you phase through the wall into the room, you see that all of a sudden the flashing stops, and the normal light, comes into the inside of the oven section there. And what you see when the light comes on, you see the figure from the ground standing upright, and you see that the figure is 6'10". It's humongously wide. He's wide as Arnold Schwarzenegger in his Mr. Olympia days. He's wearing a long duster coat that's like gleaming like chrome, just like the Barbarians' coats are, with the Barbarian logo on the back, except that it's sleeveless to accentuate his arms, one of which is still in front of his body that you don't see. One of which is like muscular with like garden hose thick veins on it. His head has that kind of a Marv from Sin City or Ivan Drago kind of hairdo, as he kind of erects his back coming from the ground and turning his other arm like normal position, and you can see that his arm all the way from the shoulder is like the garden hose thick blood vessels kind of all of a sudden like turn into actual garden hose looking tubes that every once in a while stick out and go back into another section of his hand. You can see clearly like noodle looking wiring going inside his underneath his skin, and from the elbow onwards the forearm has swollen into this grotesque mess that has like tusks and predatory animals like demonic teeth protruding out of it, even one blinking eyeball on its side, and the fingers have been like twisted to the sides, almost like they've been bent all the way back, as this muzzle that looks like a Second World War Spandau machine gun or something, with teeth on its on the muzzle hole on the front, is protruding out of it, and it's completely like all the way, even in the clearly metal parts, so there's blood vessels going all the way through it. It's like it's like a grotesque thing that's clearly like mutated out of his arm, and as he goes to, as you're standing there, he goes to take a step to turn around, as his neck and shoulder areas are crackling like knuckles. You can see this very Fist of the North Star-ish, super grunty, super, like edged, and then gaunting face that's in there with scars all over the face, and very like intimidating, with this almost like gorilla thick neck on him as he turns around with no undershirt underneath the open jacket, with just this grotesquely muscled up body, as he turns around with these dead eyes, and there's no doubt about it. It's Ironside standing in front of you, who was in some sort of a prayer or whatever in there, but his arms that have those kind of tubes protruding from it look very similar to the sort of tubes you saw the feminine figure have in its arms and neck and whatnot. And as he's turning, it's like he looks constantly like he's flexing every muscle in his body, to the point where his face looks flexed, where all the tendons in his neck are like fixed. There's like biting his teeth together, and being very like, if there was color, he would be very reddish. Turning around to face you, seeing you there.
All right. So to add on to this visual, his arm is sort of like what you would find from like a Doom game, right? It's like this demonic mixture of organic and technological machination warped together. Basically, he has a metal album cover on his arm. This
Yeah.
this dude, which is an impressive sight. Geist looks over this and like not even expecting to see anything like this, including this figure clad in the what I can only assume to be this dominatrix outfit, right? Like something similar to that.
No, she's not there. She's not present there. She was only seen in the flashes.
Okay, she was okay. Only the flashes I saw this figure, and okay, all right,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Only Ironside is in the room when the actual light came on.
Does he actually see me though? Is the thing?
If you were able to see through the door and you failed your stealth check this way, he does see you, but I'm just allowing you to kind of, since I gave a long litany of his appearance, I'm allowing you to
Okay.
chime in before actually something happens.
Well, as soon
But
as
yeah,
I see
I'm also adding that you were given orders not to engage with the enemy, and also you have no idea. You've never seen the elusive Ironside before. You've only heard of him. You don't know what this hellish cannon he has as his arm actually
Right.
does, but you've never heard anyone survive its hit.
right. Okay. So
I'm assuming I can't see with the cameras into this area, right? 'Cause
unless you are focusing on it. You can if you wish, since you paid so much attention to Mr. Brick, it's only natural that you would go,
Yeah.
I wonder what Geist is doing. If you again like zoom in the intensity, you can make out who's inside the building.
Yeah, okay, but then to find guys will probably take a while, so I'll let guys take this care.
No, please.
Okay.
So as you're kind of zooming in, you do notice that even though Geist is hard to make out, pretty much impossible, you do notice when you're kind of searching for him, you do notice the figure of Ironside, though you have no idea it's Ironside, because he's only a silhouette in the heat emission thing. But he's a large figure and he's alone there. But what you also notice is that mostly the guards at this point are close to the front door. They have not spread out. They're not close to where where Geist is. But there's one figure. You notice one figure walking from the front door directly towards where this one figure with not visible Geist, in the back, further back in the factory is. One figure is clearly walking to that direction, and you make a note to notice that she walks with one foot getting in, kind of like crisscrossing with the other as she's clearly walking, and her hips sway as she walks. And she keeps her arms like stiffly downward with her hands, fingers sprayed to the side. From the body posture alone, you're absolutely 100% sure that's not White Lightning, but it's someone else that sticks out from the group.
Guys, where the hell are you?
there is a brief silence as Geist is looking over at this hulking man, and he doesn't know who this is in particular, but given the descriptions from the intel, really, he can surmise that this kind of has to be either the dude himself or perhaps an underling, a second in command, perhaps. Who knows? So with that in mind, Geist is going to, there's just a moment of pause where like he hesitates
Okay.
because
If
he
you
knows.
hesitate, in terms
Whoa.
of role play, of course, you hesitate, but I'm gonna
Well,
say.
I'm talking about like hesitate as into like go in and attack because immediately he's thinking about the orders that he was given. And so there's like a gritting his teeth moment, and he phases right back through, and then immediately phases through the ground.
Through the ground. I'm gonna say that before you get to phase through the ground, before you get to do that, you only get to like first phase through the door back to outside of the oven
Okay.
before Ironside reacts to seeing you, because immediately as you see him, there's the pause. You hear Liam in the radio asking, "Where the hell are you?" And you're kind of you go backwards, and immediately the door there's a what should I say that there's a beach ball size hole that all of a sudden comes to the upper edge of the door, kind of like to the height where your face was all of a sudden, and how the hole comes there from inside the oven is something you wouldn't expect because it's not like how a cannon or something would do that. There's an immense pressure in the air that condenses into a single spot where you knowing about becoming immaterial and material, you see basically a some sort of a pressure wave the size basically of a beach ball, hit the oven door, turn it into a spiral where it hit in a microsecond, and as it turns into a spiral in that place, you witness reality break and shatter and turn into its kind of reverse, matter and reality getting inverted and shattered into atoms, basically. The hole that comes there is a clean hole, but everything in it just kind of explodes everywhere like a shrapnel, and because you were immaterial, you feel shrapnel just whiz through your immaterial body there, and you see the figure through the hole, and you see the smoke that looks more like like vapors that spiral in the air, from the cannon from his arm, as it makes like this kind of a beastly roar that's kind of a mixture of an animal roar and the scraping of a fork on a metal surface or something like that. This metallic crazy sound. As that hole kind of comes in front of your eyes, you hear from behind you this kind of ecstatic sigh, this kind of and it's kind of this feminine sound. And at that point, I'm going to have to ask you to make an initiative roll.
You got it. All right, so my initiative is going to be. Hold on.
Good luck, guys.
No, I'm just going to roll first.
All right, I have a 32.
32?
Yeah, because you add your extras onto your initiative.
Initiative isn't it like agility or what was it? And then if you have those extra things like some sort of approved initiative as an extra or something like that. That's incredibly high. How much do you actually have on those?
Well, yeah, I thought it was just the number of extras, because I remember talking about this with John. Well, in any case, if I'm just going with this is going to be a 17 in total.
Oh, okay, 17. I rolled a 21 basically. The
Okay.
initiative is for me just agility being 5, and then I rolled a 16. But well, we need to return to those extra things because I can't remember what extra things Geist has or anything like that. But I was just
Well,
thinking that was such a high number that it.
well, I may have misinterpreted that because I thought that you just added like not an extra that made you go first, but in the initiative you just added like if you have a power that has an extra on it, that gets added to the initiative as is.
Oh, okay. I thought
But
that I thought it's only like extras that contribute to initiative, like improved initiative as a modifier thing in one of those extra skill things or anything like that, or a superpower that makes you super fast or something like that.
well, it could be that as well. I might have just misinterpreted that. But it's just not really a huge deal for me right now. But I will say
Okay.
that that I have as one of my extras, I have reaction +4. So what that means is that it's basically rather like it's an involuntary reaction that I become insubstantial. Um, so when like as you
But you
described
were
it.
insubstantial anyway already as the
Oh, well, yeah,
shrapnel.
yeah. Yeah. I was just describing that as the shrapnel happens, right? Because like he sees this reality warping blast. The pieces fly right through him. He's just standing there, and then he hears that feminine sigh, and he turns around to see who it is.
Okay. Well, in that sense, if you got the 17 and I got the 21, in that case, the enemy goes first. When you turn around, you notice the character that Liam noticed on the heat vision coming towards you. Uh, it's her name has already been mentioned in the last session because when Mr. Brick was breaking jaws and breaking bones in the warehouse where the leather masters worked, he was able to squeeze out of them that they are following the orders of the mistress. You already mentioned the resemblance to a dominatrix from the flashes um, inside the oven there, but what you see in front of you right now is a legitimate dominatrix, the mistress, the leader of the Leather Masters gang, the gang that was in fact kidnapping kids and making snuff films in their little warehouse that Mr. Brick apprehended. The mistress standing in front of you isn't too tall, isn't too muscular, isn't too much of anything of that sort, but is covered from head to toe in this gimp outfit, this leather or latex mask that covers everything from her face. Even though you heard her voice completely, perfectly audibly, her mouth and nose and everything is covered. She has like two zip lines that come down here to kind of resemble like eye slits, but they're always shut. She has like a tight corset, a large bosom, and she has like her gloves have like these sharp fingertips that look like claws and stuff. She has like high heel shoes that come all the way to the upper parts of her thigh with all sorts of buckles and straps here and there. And the most kind of visual thing about her is her cape. Her cape is not only dragging behind her, but it's floating in the air, almost like something underwater, and it's completely black. And as she's standing there staring at you in this posture with one side of the hip kind of above the other and one foot kind of ahead of the other, just kind of looking at you, she immediately goes to say, "Stay, boy." And now you need to make a will check against her hypnosis. No,
I
wait.
rolled.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry.
I got a 1. So in total, that's a 4.
No, wait. You rolled a 1, so that's like
Yeah.
a failure outright.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a rule where she has to succeed 3 times in order to actually hypnotize you, but since you rolled that 1, buddy, that hypnosis catches you off guard so bad that as you just witnessed a you witnessed Ironside's abyssal Gehenna cannon rip reality in front of your face, and then out of nowhere a superhuman character you have never seen, only heard legends about, stands behind you, penetrating your mind in order to subdue you. It's just too much at once. It's
Oh,
and
yeah.
also with the experiences you've gone through throughout this 5 years,
Mm.
it's fair to say that your mind is rather open to be fiddled with when it comes to pushing the right buttons and finding kind of dark areas to exploit in someone's mind to
And
kind of.
and Geist's mind is chock full of dark areas indeed. But real quick though, I just looked up the initiative, and I was right. And it is agility plus advantages with what it has here in the brackets improved initiatives plus your power modifiers.
Oh, I would still. That still rings to me somehow that only powers having to do with initiative, but we'll still have time to check that out thoroughly in the
Well, I
larger.
mean, in any case, I was just going to roll with the fact that he was stunned by the usurping power of Ironside's demon cannon arm as it rips through reality, and he turns around to see this dominatrix before him, sort of like an embodiment of all the of really the turmoil in the city, and plus she is one of the leather masters, so his mind thinks of the horrible things these people do. And so that puts his mind in the right state of mind, as it were. His negativity outflowing before him, and she just flat out is able to, like playing a harp, pluck those strings. And Geist is suddenly finds himself in a weakened mental state, though his mind tried to struggle hard. That part of him is buried. That hero within, buried so deep underneath this cesspool of utter nihilism and self-loathing. Yes, he does indeed stay right there, though his body is still reflexively insubstantial for now.
All right. Liam, you did not receive an answer from Geist when you called in through the radio. You're muted.
Yeah, the blast that went off. Did it have a heat signature?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so I saw suddenly this huge sign of heat going off. All right, okay, like Geist, are you there? Are you part of that shot? Geist.
Yes, I'm here. I'm staying here.
And
No.
at that point, the dominatrix is slowly walking forward, and you also hear the creak of. No, you don't hear the creak. You hear the door of the oven just fall behind you, and you hear heavy footsteps behind you and heavy panting. And the dominatrix says, "Take a rest, boy." As she's walking with those high heels towards you and raising one of her arms to expose more of her cape's inner side.
Guys, get the hell out of here.
Does Mr. Brick also hear this going on in the radio?
I guess I assume that that's all happening probably when I'm wiping my face, and then
Yeah.
you know, it's like, Liam, guys, does he need help?
Guys, get out of there.
I need to take a rest. Yes.
No, you need to get out. Mr. Brick, Can you get to him quick?
And all of a sudden, like, you know, Geist just kind of sits down on the ground a bit. You know, partly phasing through, but not all the way. Is it actually, like, as far as arrest is concerned, he might just kind of recline back in the air, floating a bit.
Yeah, well, basically, her hypnosis is aiming to turn you basically docile. Um,
And docile
she
he
doesn't.
is.
Yeah, she doesn't. When it comes to commands, she can't like tell you to shoot yourself. She can't tell you to give her your PIN number or something like that. She can like just pacify you and kind of turn off your defenses, kind of thing.
And that is what most certainly has and the way I'm envisioning this is that, you know, what is more passive than the dude that's not even there. So he is there, but he is completely, you know, phased out and just you know, kind of slightly slumped over and just out of it. You know,
Okay.
just like a dead body floating in the air, like this shallow shell of a man. That's what's going on now. He is most definitely resting.
Okay. Well, Liam had the time to say to Mr. Brick to get there. Do you want to emphasize on that, or
Yeah,
Mr.
as
Brick?
soon as Liam says that, and obviously I can hear the stress in his voice, and that Geist is not talking like he normally does. Mr. Brick throws the bloody little wet nap onto the ground, turns, takes about 8 steps, and just goes, leaps as high as he can, just kind of plow right through the wall. In
Okay.
the direction towards where Geist would be.
Okay. There's a series of things that happened immediately at the same time. At the same time, Mr. Brick is leaping through the wall and just making this bang of a noise as he crashes through it. At the same time, where Geist is, Geist can see the figure of Ironside already starting to walk past him, not staying to kill him, but rather just kind of walk outwards, towards out of the building, as the dominatrix is about to put her cape over you, almost like a kind of a drape on a gurney on a dead body, and as she says, as the final command to you, she says, now be a good boy and turn your powers away, as she's about to drape you with her cape.
And as she does so, Geist complies, and in his stupor, he begins to lower to the ground, and his body begins to phase back, and now he is solidified. He is there. His powers are off, and he just stands there passively as she waves the cloak, her majestic dominatrix style cloak over him.
Okay, as the cloak is coming, you can see when it comes close, you can see that the inner part of the cloak becomes, all of a sudden, it looks like, well, because there's no color, it looks like a black nebula of some sort. It looks like those Hubble telescope pictures. It looks like you're staring into an abyss or into a vacuum, as it kind of drapes over you, as you can feel almost like being waterboarded, it kind of going into your mouth and it going into your nostrils, as it kind of covers your face, while Mr. Brick is going through the wall, and as Liam is paying attention to the radio and to the heat vision thing, there's something that happens there as well.
Can I also do something else, or?
I'm going to have to. I'm going to have you roll a awareness roll. But if there's something you want to mention before that.
Well, I would love to create an illusion of just a random guy who is there in the room with them, who is pointing a gun at him and saying, "Freeze, bitch!"
Okay. Go
Is
ahead.
that possible? Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have you make a roll for it to see if it's convincing because it's such a far way away, and it needs to be completely convincing that it's gonna be a competitive roll. Roll to make the illusion, and I'll roll to see. Well, I'll just make an awareness, or should be a will roll. Okay, just it's not going to be a competitive roll. Just make the illusion roll, and I'll see if you can roll high enough to make it convincing.
Okay, just so you know, as a character, I have the skill Fascinate, and on Deception, people are drawn to me and pay attention.
Okay,
So
but that does that apply to illusions made by you?
no, I don't know, but just so you know that Liam has that skill. Just I have no idea if that has effect on my illusions or something. I'll
Hmm.
just so I just roll a d20 and add my illusion score.
Yeah, do that. Do that.
There we go. That's 25.
Oh, damn. Okay. Just as that is a happening, you're concentrating on your, you have your hand in your pocket doing your thing with that thing you haven't described yet too much what it actually is. So I'm not describing it either. As you're doing your thing and concentrating on that to create the illusion into the room, you can't really see into the room, so it's extra challenging when
Yeah.
you're doing it. But as you're concentrating on that, and you're like pretty sure that yeah, it's coming along, but you can't see whether or not it has the desired effect because you're not seeing through the eyes of the illusion anyway, or anything like that. Um, when you're concentrating on that, all of a sudden from behind you, from outside your illusion-covered Black Cat vehicle, all of a sudden the door that lifts normally upwards is pulled off of its hinges by a hand. And all of a sudden, as you're concentrating there, as Mr. Brick is leaping through a brick wall, as Geist is getting engulfed by some sort of a magic cape, and as you're concentrating on creating an illusionary gunman into the room, all of a sudden the door gets just ripped from its side, and what you see standing there is a cyborg woman wearing the leather uniform of a motorcycle policeman that's covered in skeleton drawings, with her neck and jaw and temples being completely naked as these cybernetic robot parts, with her like dead, like this big eyes on her face, with her otherwise bald head except for black hair coming from the top, as she just yanks the door open, and with the familiar distorted voice that Geist heard from the window when that RPG rocket launcher was fired from the room with the person with the crushed head, you hear her say, "And who the fuck do you think you're fooling?" As she rips the door off of its hinges.
Fuck. The driver's still in the thing, right?
Yeah, but you have time to react before he does.
Ah, okay. I look around at her and I kind of grab into my pocket and shoot like this huge like battering ram towards her, like boom, just trying to slam her off the plane.
All right. In that case, you will need to. You don't have to make a initiative because she had free reign to rip the door off its hinges. So go ahead and just do the roll. Roll your construct. In terms of using it to fight, I'm not sure if like like do you roll your like the construct roll, or does it simply like you roll the construct to create the construct and then if the construct hits you, it's like the legit thing would hit you, like a battering ram.
I have no idea.
Okay, well, how much is your construct?
I have a construct score of 10.
Okay, well, that's a pretty high number anyway, so let's just have you roll your construct roll. Roll a d20 and add the 10 to it.
That's 23.
23, let's see. 23 there. As the battering ram comes, it just comes to her face, but it only staggers her as she as it hits her right in the face. You hear this kind of groan, this very metallic, distorted, robotic groan, and she grabs the edge of the black cat and kind of like squeezes her fingers into it, and they just kind of press into it. And at that time, the pilot notices what's going on and puts the pedal to the metal, and immediately just the illusion kind of breaks as the black cat just kind of, and immediately as it flies to the air, yanking the cyborg, grabbing onto its side with it, you hear in your radio Tanya Vasilievich yell to you to report. What's the status of the mission? Report. And at the same time, all this stuff is happening. So I'm gonna have to jump a lot between you guys. As the flying machine, as Black Cat lifts off with the cyborg yanking off of it. Meanwhile, Mr. Brick has penetrated the brick wall and just. And if you want, the leap can be hard enough where you go through the wall of the next building right in front of you, which is the factory building where Geist is.
Yeah, if they were that close, then yeah. I mean, his interpretation is get to him as quick as possible, which means 100% full-on leap attack towards the center, just trying to get into the building as quick as possible. So yeah, he would plow through the next one and just kind of crash in. Wherever he lands, he lands.
Okay, well, as you kind of went through the wall, you could just like glide through the air until you come through the next wall, and you come into the actual factory room where you enter through basically one of the guards who's just there to kind of lift his assault rifle to shoot at the illusion that Liam has created in front of him of a gunman just yelling and pointing the gun, as one of the guards is just and immediately just Mr. Brick busts through the wall and just completely just rams like a cannonball this guard that was standing there just and you're gonna land there with.
He almost like throws his hand down to catch himself, so he spins and kind of drags himself, ripping up the ground, trying to stop himself from continuing, along the way. Yeah. And then he's like, "Geist!" just yelling as loud as he can, tries calling out to Geist.
The area is big enough where as soon as you burst through, you see that, like described before, the appearance of Mistress standing there quite a distance away from you, still something like let's say 30 feet or something. She's there crouching to the ground with one knee on the ground and with her hand above a body that's laying there, and she immediately lifts her head, stunned when she hears you yell for Geist, and the two of you can have a competitive initiative roll before you act further. Geist, I'm going to return to your situation once this situation with Mr. Brick is concluded. But before it is concluded, I will jump back to Liam in the flying machine, and with you hearing Tanya Vasilievich demanding a report of the situation while the pilot is trying to, kind of get the intruder off of it, while the intruder is just holding on barely and kind of having the body posture of clearly planning to attempt to grab onto with the second hand as well. You're muted.
Damn that mute button! I again look at her and say, "Here, grab this," and I kind of have this thing, like this lead thing, just grab onto her, making her, I don't know, as much heavier as I can make her, so that she just rips off her hand and just falls to the ground.
Okay. Sadly, that does not happen because of her cybernetic makeup. She pretty much withstands punishment like no other.
Yeah, but it's not so much punishment. It's like making her so heavy that her one hand can't keep her up.
Yeah, that's the thing. The grip power on it. It's like her main thing is that she's basically invulnerable. She's well, I don't want to give any statistics away or anything like that, but yeah, it's pretty much, yeah, you do the heavy thing, but there's a sad little consequence to that because she doesn't let go even exactly visually. What is the heavy thing that you give her?
It doesn't really exist because Liam is panicking and he just has this because he can make heavy stuff appear, so it kind of clamps on her and just not so much wanting to damage her, but having her grip like kind of rip out of the plane, and just because it's too heavy for the plane to carry on.
Okay, I see. But for the grip power, the thing is that the plane will rather go with the weight than have actual reinforced armor plating rip off like cloth or something. As that happens, that is indeed the reaction to what happens as the cyborg is hanging there, and as she gets some sort of a clamp on her that's super heavy. She doesn't bat an eye. Her expression, if you can say that she has an expression, her face looks like it's been stolen or peeled off of a dead corpse and slapped on her face. It doesn't show any emotion. She just hangs on there, having more trouble just flinging the other hand in the near future to grab on better. But the flying machine is kind of like tilted, and it has to like make kind of like these circle moves and stuff. It can like it can like go back to its regular form, but the pilot is doing all he can to maintain it, while you're still hearing in the radio to report the situation.
Yeah, I'm looking like shit. What the fuck? And out of the thing clamping onto her, probably like this saw will appear and will start to kind of saw on her hand.
I will give you a little bit. I just feel like because you saw that the weight didn't rip her hand off of its sockets or anything of the sort. A saw sawing onto her hand might not have too much of effect because it's kind of established how incredibly tough she is. But if you saw the area that she's holding on to, that would also kind of drop her off.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, that's fine. But I thought, like, if the weight isn't enough for it to break, then I thought it was almost as indestructible as she is. So
yeah, but weight, just like if you have a solid piece and weight, like, there to bend and break a piece off of, reinforced armored plating like that, compared to, magically, like, actually sawing it, But yeah,
okay,
you make
if
the decision of what you want to do.
No. Then I'll saw out a piece of the thing, like a square or half a circle, so her hand is holding loose material.
Okay. Well, make another roll for that.
26.
26. Okay, that's well enough. As you can see that she's just about to reach to grab onto the floor plates to grab onto a better hold, and she's trying with the heavy weight on her, just and you can hear this kind of kind of robotic thing there, and then what kind of a saw implement kind of your construct looks like?
It's probably a chainsaw with diamond-tipped things like just moving from the blob that's hanging onto her.
Okay, there you go. Well, as she's attempting to grab a hold to better, right before she gets to clamp down, the happens, and immediately the flying machine kind of goes back to its original position, as you see the cyborg with not a single change in expression just fall down to the ground, and you can just hear the crash, boom, bang when she smashes onto the concrete pavement on the ground and cracks it completely, and creates a kind of a mini crater there, only a little bit of a tilted crater, but still, like, because of the extra weight on her and all that. And immediately the flying machine gets recalibrated, and immediately at the same time you still hear the headset saying, "Report, damn it!" as the flying machine is heading straight to the steel refinery area where Geist and Mr. Brick are being held at the time. And if you still want to give something to the radio, you can still do that before we go back to Mr. Brick. But
yeah, I kind of go like, "Oh, hello, Tanya. I'm sorry. I just was fighting for my life, but of course I'll report to you whatever you wish to know. Just so you know, we're under attack."
What? Is the mission compromised?
I would say that. Yeah.
Abort mission! Abort mission immediately! God damn it, English word. Grab everyone and abort mission.
Retreat.
Yeah. Extract the rest of the long swords and retreat. And that's the last thing you get to hear before we go to Mr. Brick doing his initiative roll against the Mistress. And even though Phil said something about the power stuff, let's just do. We're both rolling agility only in this roll, okay? So because I don't have the powers kind of counted in to a total here for the NPC. So if you are okay with that.
No, that's fine. I have 1 down as my initiative. That's my agility. So I didn't know about the other stuff.
Well,
I got 15 plus 1 is 16.
16, okay. Oh, I rolled a 5, so that's only a 10. So you go first. You see her, did I say 30 feet away?
About 30 feet, yeah.
Yeah. You see her there on one knee looking startled, if you can read a facial expression from behind all that latex, with a figure laying on its back covered with a black cape there.
Covered, though, so I can't tell that's Geist.
You can't tell it's Geist. But you would imagine that Geist is here, and the only people that are not barbarian guards are these two there, right in front of you. You don't see Ironside anywhere. He walked off the factory right before you entered.
So immediately I start moving towards her quickly. Not running, but I just start moving towards her and say, "Where is Geist? Give me Geist."
Okay. As you do that, with your intimidating presence, your immense size, your face is nicely wiped though, but all the rest of your body is completely covered in gore, and you busted through the wall, completely mangling one of the guards, and you start to demand her for Geist. She just immediately you can hear this kind of a whimpering, kind of cowering sigh coming out of her as she immediately just does this with her hand, and as she does that, her body disappears through the ability of teleportation. She just and she's gone. She's just like spins into like almost like a black cloth that gets so thin that it disappears from sight. And
Yeah.
Liam
Immediately.
can see still from the thermal thing. He can see that she clearly like disappeared and appeared outside on the speedboat. So you can radio in that she's not like lurking behind your back or anything.
I'm assuming this is happening while I'm fighting the cyborg, right? So
Yeah,
I'm
you
not,
might not be able to see
Oh
it.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, immediately as she starts spinning and doing that crazy voodoo shit, I actually like put my hands up ready to block any incoming laser blasts or nuclear bombs or whatever magic crap that comes out of people. Then she disappears. He's like, then starts looking around for her.
Okay.
And then not noticing her, he'll move over towards the body, hoping that's not Geist in a way.
From his boots and stuff, you can notice that it's Geist because mostly his face and half of his upper body is covered in the cape. That looks something that you can just pull off of him, just like covers from sleeping in a bed.
As soon as I notice, I run over and just kind of rip the cloth off, throw it to the side. I pick him up. I'm like, Geist, almost cradling his tiny form.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Geist just as you grab onto the edge to pull it off. Geist, as your mind was invaded, as someone violated your personal space of your own being, of your very own identity, your memories, your experiences, your emotions, your life. Someone penetrated into it, tinkered around with it, and did with it what they pleased. After that, getting the cloak draped onto you and feeling like you're drowning or you're suffocating or any of the sort, you found yourself kind of getting drowsy and kind of having all the audio and visual and all that from outside yourself, just the real world, kind of fade into this muffled kind of a sleep, this kind of coma, and you start first to hear noises. You start to hear yells and screams, and you start to hear loud banging noises as you finally open your eyes very heavily and you notice that, you're in a field. Somewhere in a country yard, and suddenly from behind your back you are being mowed down by a machine gun. You experience fully the experience of simulated death by a firing squad. You're in some sort of peasant's clothing with old wrinkled hands with a wedding ring on the ring finger and wearing like farmers' peasant clothes somewhere in a country yard. You don't even see what's behind you, but you feel the machine gun bullets just shoot out of your chest.
As each bullet passes through him, the instinctual human urge to fight back in terms of wanting to stay alive flows away, and he feels each bullet as a tiny bit of relief from this festering cesspool of a thing we call life itself. And he feels that sweet, numbing embrace that the wounds leaving his body experience as the blood flows down over that hot flesh, that cold blood running warm but then getting cooler and cooler as it runs down the sides of his body on the insides of his shirt, as it stains, as the shirt gets redder and redder, as he collapses to his knees. He looks up in a haze once more as those classic guns fire, and the spurts of blood blanket that grass amongst the fields and stuff in a very poetic fashion. Over top of those, even the few flowers that are there begin sprinkled with his blood, but that too gets covered by as his body collapses towards the ground, and he takes one painful breath and then exhales with only the relief that there will be death to follow afterwards. And then only through the depths of his mind he thinks, yes, let it end. This miserable existence, this pathetic thing of life, let it just end. And his eyes begin to close as he embraces that cold mistress known as death.
As you fall down on your face, and as you kind of see from the sides of your eyes, you can see other people wearing similar kind of peasant farmer clothes also fall to their faces. As you fall to your face, almost immediately as a physical reaction, as you fall to your face, the world around you, like gravity shifts almost like a wheel, like where as you're on your face, now all of a sudden you're upright again, like the world turned like to make you upright again, and all of a sudden you notice that you're in a different place. You're in a forest, and you have a peasant girl's dress on, and all of a sudden the same sort of sensation of a firing squad shooting at you, and you see people already before you already falling down, and you see that they're all like peasants and stuff, and you again feeling the embrace of death, you start to fall down only to have the world again turn so that you're upright again. This time you notice that you're wearing a infantryman's uniform, an infantryman's from what you've learned from history, looking somewhat like the very beginning of the 20th century, olive green, as you fall down to your death, and the world turns again.
But with this vision, this one brings about something a little bit different. As he experiences, he sees that uniform and stuff. He's reminded of his old duty as when he was a police officer at one point or another. When he served on the force, when he was that scraggly kid that solved mysteries with his mentor. Yes, his mind reels back to those days, the days of yore. He thinks of duty and justice, and then he looks at the injustice of being shot down in the line of duty, all something that all those who serve in law enforcement, and indeed in a greater spectrum and most dangerous and hazardous work environments, must endure. This strange existential sacrifice that must be made, and in doing so he experiences it firsthand, and there's a bit of rage that follows this one. Before there was just wanting it to end, but then now it's looped back around. There's the vicious cycle, the greediness of life, of wanting to live and have breath once again. Yes, it's coming back around, and he feels that rage boiling within. I want to live. I cannot let this injustice happen to me. I served, I fought. I'm the one that sacrificed his life. I'm the one that did. I did. And all these regrets start boiling outwards as he falls forward. Again, that sweet embrace of death, but not in a loving, kind manner. No, this time it is filled with regret, remorse, anger, and rage, as he curses and spits and falls to the ground. Little bits of blood come down as he does so, his hands clenched in a fist, but they become loose as the bullets penetrate and rip through his flesh, his spine, his spleen. Yes, all of that gets torn to pieces. Even an ear that gets flung off from the side of his head, as even eye matter gets shot out from the back of his head forward. Yes, he sees that eye, that one side of his vision that goes completely black, as his other eye gets the horror of seeing his other eyeball get launched out as the bullet just carves chunks out of his own system, and everything becomes black and blurry, and once again falls forward, but never truly falls.
Yeah, and after a while, after going through like something like your 10th turnaround with gravity pulling you upright again, only to be shot down, something you notice is that I recognize this place. I've seen it in my grandparents' photos. As you fall forward again, and as this keeps going, you notice a pattern. You're going forwards in time. You're embodying different members of your family's lineage, all the way from the corners of the First World War on the side of Tsarist Russia, all the way migrating back to United States and fighting in World War II, and from there on in having a grandfather who was a policeman probably, and so on. You experience these after you've experienced this simulated death by a execution squad. You've gone through the experience of recognizing places, of recognizing probably a wedding ring that's been going through in the family. You've recognized a lake from a photo album that you've sometimes opened up. You recognize from history class sometimes locations like I'm in Poland, and all the way going through to just seeing a gang of criminals shoot down somebody from your family in the police force before you, and all the way just going onward and onward.
I'd like to add one though too, because as with all family lineages, not everyone is an upstanding member, and there's one where he sees himself briefly as the victimizer himself. Yes, a thug, a ruthless policeman. Yes, beating down some folks and getting a huge power rush as he does so. But then the tables are turned, and as he's lifting up that club to deliver that nearly fatal blow on this defenseless person, others bust in the doors, shouting out what would be the equivalency of an 80s movies of "Die, you fucking pig!" and seeing him get riddled with bullets. This one that feels justified, but a humbling experience, for not everything is always going to be so honorable. We come from humanity's lineage, and this is something that Geist begins really drinking in deeply. For every noble member of society, there is also a despicable one in turn, and we all come from a same tree, that same lineage. That blood that flows through that guy also somehow flows a little bit of minutia of genetic material. While it doesn't consist of what Geist is, it still flows through the blood. Yes, that lineage is filled with horror and all kinds of honor and deceit and death. Yes, a constant weaving of death. And once more that embrace, as he realizes these different places where he's going, this existential view gets more and more trippy for him as he begins to draw these connections in his mind. It only further entrenches some of his beliefs, but also starts challenging a few others. Yes. His mind is in now this constant turmoil of battling past and present self. Yes.
And as you're gone through a few more of these twists and turns of basically in these kind of 5-second intervals each of before you experience death, and it's every time it's the same span of time, so you always know like it's coming, and then you feel it. And as the last thing, after you felt like you've experienced like 50 or 60 of these executions, the last one you feel is like a view of you looking down at a cell phone, a black and white cell phone with a gray screen in a gray woman's hand, about to type a text message of "I miss you" as the front door gets kicked in with a gang of juvenile hooligans wanting to be members of the barbarians, bust the door in and lift up their assault rifles and open fire. And just as the triggers are about to be pulled on your dead wife, Mr. Brick pulls the cloak off your face. And as he pulls it off, it feels like he's yanking it all the way from your brain through your nostrils and mouth.
There is when Mr. Brick sees him, there is his body just straightens up immediately. His hands begin shivering and twitching, like coming straight out of shock. As he draws in a huge amount of breath. And then all these memories begin fading and rushing in all at the same time. Yes, as if he had just emerged from a cold baptism of water and hell at the same time. Yes, he collapses to his knees as his hands are shaking, and he just lets out a loud scream, a yell. As his hands come up to his face to try to console himself. They go underneath of his mask and start rubbing at the template of his own forehead and wiping away the tears that are there over that dried flesh of his. Yes, and they fall down to his knees, and he just collapses over onto the ground as his body slightly shivers, quivers, and is shaken in bouts of rage, frustration, and sorrow. All these things flowing through his mind. Clearly looks like a man in definite shock.
Yeah, through the shock, immediately when you scream, I back up slightly, but then it just gets overridden when you fall down to your hands and knees, and you begin to shake and shiver, and then my caring part takes over where I reach down and sort of just cradle your body, picking you up, and continually saying, maybe you don't hear it in your stunned state, but it's like, Geist, you'll be okay, you'll be fine. And then talking to myself, I'm like, oh, don't worry, Geist, I'll save you, Geist. And it's like Captain Phantom, maybe that's one word that you hear clearly. He's like, Captain Phantom would want me to save you. And then I run and I start heading towards where I think the helicopter is carrying my injured compatriot.
Yeah, that's it. Meanwhile, Liam
I do have something to add. Since Mr. Brick is picking up Geist, and he is very much holding him very closely, you can see more details of his outfit. You might take note of the bucklers that he is wearing at his waist. If any of those are of any significance, there's something old right there. Just throwing that out there, little details, and other than that,
something that Captain Phantom surely wore in his comics.
Yeah, Mr. Brick, at the moment, I'm gonna roll after and see, like, maybe make awareness rolls to see if he figures it out. But right now, he's just so concerned that he probably wouldn't have noticed it. Maybe once we're on the ship or something, when he has time to look at him. But
okay,
Mr. Brick has trouble doing more than one thing at a time.
Okay, I get you. While this is going on, Liam is in fact, just had the conversation with Tanya Vasilievich on the radio, who has told him to extract the rest of the members of the Longswords and abort mission, and as she said that, will Liam react anyway? Like, will he try to contact his group mates, or you're muted?
Damn you, mute button! I said definitely. He calls out to Mr. Brick. So he says, like, Brick, are you there? Where's Geist?
Liam, I have Geist. We're on the roof. Then you can hear as I've just burst through the roof landed on top, holding Geist. Where are you?
We're coming past for backup. I was attacked.
Okay. As soon as you have this back and forth, you can see that the black cat is indeed coming. But as soon as it's coming, it's being seen also by all the 100 people who also witnessed all these bangs and crashes and whatnots that have been going on. And as one thing that Liam spots from inside the black cat is that you see that walking through the gates into the factory yard is the very cyborg that you threw off of the plane, completely unharmed, just walking towards the 100 people. You see the speedboat speeding away, and as you come closer, you do see the roof just where Mr. Brick enters the roof, and at the same time you see all the barbarians lift up their assault rifles and about to fire. And at that point, you also see that the pilot lifts up a button, just, and all of a sudden you hear this fireworks whistling sound, this kind of sound as these flashbang mini rockets are kind of shot off of the Black Cat's bottom, and they create enough of a distraction where there's confusion among the 100 barbarians who just indiscriminately now start to shoot upwards, and you hear also the sort of grunts that come if somebody was shooting sideways, you know. So yeah, there you are in the Black Cat with the broken door that's been pulled off of its hinges, you know, remaining open there, and you're closing in on the roof where your two companions are.
Yeah, I'll say, get ready to jump. I find something that I make a pole which kind of clamps between the bottom and the top of the plane, and a rope kind of with a hook kind of ready to make it sweep out so that he can grab onto it.
Okay, nice. You don't have to make a roll for that. That's cool. Just as the Black Cat is coming to pick you guys up, you notice that all of a sudden Liam's construction, his construct of a like a zip line with a hook on it, just like, you know, flings off of it for you to grab onto.
Yeah, I immediately cradle. You know, I need one hand obviously to grab the rope, so I cradle Geist keep him as close as possible, trying to keep my body in any direction that I think that there's gunfire, just preventing anything from hitting him. Leap out to grab the rope as it comes by, and then hope it holds my weight.
Okay.
I trust you, I think.
Okay. As you're going to grab it, Liam is the only one who recognizes this noise because you've heard it before. From the ground, from among the barbarians and whatnot, you hear the distinctive sound that White Lightning's gauntlet things made when she made her sonic high volume kind of attack where she basically boiled people alive in the last session. So just as Brick grabs onto it, you hear this ominous sound from the crowd below.
I look like, evade, damn you! I kind of grab my, put my hand in my pocket and just close my eyes and just try to kind of zoom out, trying to imagine what this picture looks like from pretty much the ground, and just out of my own creativity, kind of try to make a copy of the plane where the one goes one way and the other goes the other way.
Okay, with Mr. Brick dangling and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, for that I will have you make a roll for it.
Ah, come on, very simple.
Difficulty is going to be 18.
Well, there we go. That's 29.
Okay, no problem.
Easy
But
peasy.
it's a tense situation. You're really like doing your squeezing thing there, and you're concentrating on it as Mr. Brick is still hanging on to with the cradled body of Geist in his arms, as Liam manages to, in fact, fool White Lightning by separating the two. And she, of course, you can see this kind of funnel of distorted air just shoot out from the ground that pierces the illusionary plane, and by the time she would have noticed that it didn't explode, you would have been already far enough away from her to make an accurate hit. So yeah, there you are, flying through the air, just, and Liam hearing again in his ear, report, status update, report, damn it.
Before he goes, can I scream something that's Brick?
Sure.
Yeah, so as I'm hanging underneath the thing, Brick's screaming as loud as he can. He's like, "You've all been marked by the long swords, and death will soon follow you all." As they're flying away.
All right, nice. Okay, what was Liam gonna?
Liam is just sitting on the ground and just sweating and just like. Holy shit, I'm badass! I'm fucking badass!
There you go. I think that's a good closure. Everybody, if anybody has anything to add to the end of this, feel free to add any thoughts, any characters, stuff that they're going to do as soon as they get a chance or anything like that. But pretty much in terms of plot moving forward, I think this is a good spot to leave it.
I'm gonna just roll to see if I was aware of Geist's belt bucklers. A 9. I don't think so. Never know. I didn't notice them. I was too busy just trying to keep them alive.
Yeah.
And as for Geist, a little inner monologue as he is taken out, as he sits there resting on a bench within the Black Cat. He sits there hearing the rickety ride. Everything slowly coming to in his mind, but there is still just a blur around him. But in his mind, there is that constant turmoil building more and more. And those in there can see that he has stopped shivering since then, but now he has started to clench his fists a bit and clasp them together as such. For there is a deep upswelling of anger. This is a new feeling of violation that he has experienced. This mistress has touched a very sensitive part of his mind. It's one thing to violate the body, but this is a violation of the mind, the soul, more depraved than anything, any rational reality, whatever construct. No, this went beyond. It was enlightening, and it was vulnerable, and it was completely and utterly disarming of everything that he is. Yes, these things were thrown into question. His mind, feeling the penetration of every bullet, is a penetration of his very soul. And he even still will put his hands on his chest, moving up and down his body, just to make sure. Am I still fine? Am I still all right? But his breathing is still a bit wheezy. His breath taking a few extra bits. He gets up briefly and reaches into a pocket, pulls out what looks like a couple of pills, and quickly gobbles them down as he does so. Yes, he puts those pills in his mouth and follows it with a quick chase of water. And then he begins to breathe back and normal. He sets upright a bit, His head is hung down low as the cowl over his face kind of sits there and dangles a bit. You could see a bit of a sweat, but still no look underneath that mask, no face to be seen. So the expression is quite lost, but his fists are still balled up tight, and there is nothing but an inner rage building from within, and all he can think of, well, the enemies are clear now.
And also to mention that you were under the mistress's enthrallment cape around maybe 3 minutes at tops. To imagine what sort of mindscape her leather masters are in is another deal entirely.
Oh yes, and that in and of itself, further just kind of just for now everything is still quite fuzzy. It is the classic signs of trauma, of course. Even though he is a superhero, he is not a superhero of great mindset that he was once at. He is at a low point, and seeing that on the inside a bit is a bit worrying. And he'll get up, he'll head to like a bathroom stall in there, kind of look in a mirror. And we see this scene. He lifts up the cowl. Of course, the camera is positioned in such a way where we don't see the face, but he sees his own visage, and his hands ball up into a fist as it fades to black.
All right. What about Liam? What's his kind of deal as after he did that badass thing?
Yeah.
Well, Liam has never used his powers to this extent, so he's kind of amazed at his own strength, and he's like, holy fucking shit, what did I do, and is there a limit to my power? So, I don't know, it depends of where we're going, so he's just trying to get to grasp with all this and what all happened, and he's still trying to make sense of Mr. Brick ripping everybody apart. This is something that shocked him, and he wants to know what happened to Geist, and because he has no idea what happened there, and there was this huge surge of energy which he saw, and he wants to tell everybody about this cyborg thing, which just is to him like, well, scary shit. But well, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you all got introduced very personally now to basically the entire Eastern Bloc's heavy hitters. You got introduced to Ironside, who leads the barbarians, and all the vassals that he has. You got to meet the Mistress, who leads the leather masters. You got to meet Cop Killer, the cyborg, who leads the Necropolis, and you got to meet White Lightning as well, though not that much in this session, though, who leads the Thor Hammers. So yeah, that's the kind of cats you're dealing with in Midnight City. But I'm going to end the broadcast here and let everybody off, but this time I actually remember to mention that everybody, after each session as experience points, each player gets a single power point. So, there's no reason to change from that formula. 1 power point per session, that's what you get. And everybody who's still listening who hasn't gone to the Facebook group, please do that, and I'll post pictures of all the NPCs, the gang leaders, and stuff like that right after I sign off here. So...
And if you all are interested in the what we're playing, it's once again it's the DC Adventures book, Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition, basically. Pick it up at whatever convenience store or online retailer you want to go to.
I I wish I could say ching, but they're not a sponsor.
Yeah, that's true. But you know, if you all have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them on Jonas's YouTube here, or go to the Facebook page as mentioned. It's Midnight City, Facebook.com/Midnight City Facebook group. It is the place to be for all things Midnight City related in this DC Heroes Dark Adventure.
You know it, baby.